What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Sota Pod YouTube channel, and shout out to everyone on the podcast. We have a special live Sota stream here for you all today, the official Sota Pod NHL season preview show. Yes, we ran down the divisions last year, and it was an absolute hit, both on the YouTube channel and among all you podcast listeners. So we decided to bring it back. We're going to do it again, and we got a great lineup of guests, as well as the main host of the Sota Pod channel, except for Z, who is, well, let's be honest. It's
Wi-Fi, he'll be here.
This is his par for the course. All Sota Pod fans know Z's always a little bit late. So nothing new here, and we have some returning guests on the show as well. Many time returning guests, producer of some of the best beer names, promotional content in the state of Minnesota, Josh Leddy of Back Channel Brewing. How's it going, Josh? And lastly, our now recurring guest, I should say, because of re-recording the same interview doesn't count with him in Hoppy. The University of St. Thomas hockey legend, creator of the most incredible apparel brand out there, Travis Barker, not to be confused with the Blink-182 drummer of Waggle Golf. Get your waggle.com. How's it going, guys?
Travis Barker, how are you?
I mean, I'd like to say it's the first time I've gotten that, but it's not. So.
Well, Isha, you got one more intro here.
Oh, look at that. Look at that. Almost right on time. The man, the myth, the legend. The host behind the most popular show now on our channel. Spoke to Z from Judd's Buds. How's it going, buddy?
It's the most popular?
Oh, yeah. By far. No, you're actually carrying the channel.
Keep the fucking change.
So thank you for joining us on time, by the way. Showing a good example.
No, I literally, my Wi-Fi exploded. I just had to fix it. It took me fucking 20 minutes. But we're back.
Oh, awesome. Well, before we get into the show, before we get into the hockey talk, before we get into all the division round up here, folks, I know Josh and Travis here, this is the first time that you guys are connecting, via the Sota Pod and actually live real time here. So welcome both of you to the live show, and look at that, making introductions, building community here on the Sota Pod.
I'm sure this will be the first of many times that we connect, Travis. So
yeah, I think we definitely have to. I got to
the
get
iceberg
brewery for one, but I've been down that way. But yeah, I think definitely need to connect.
Nice.
I'm just glad I didn't wear your matching hoodie.
I thought you might. I was luckily I have a few options here I could have changed if need be. So
the trees just seemed more on brand.
That's good. Yeah, you knew.
So just reminder everyone, this is a comment-driven live stream as well. We are going to have comment sections that, throughout the stream where we'll just throw a bunch of your comments on screen. We'll address them all. We are reading them all as we go. So don't you worry. We're not neglecting you folks at all, but we're going to keep this show humming as far as running down the divisions and stuff like that. And in between, those segments, we will for sure address the comments. So I just want to say shout out to Soto, shout out to Hunter, Tegrity Farms. We got our, one of our newest partners here, which we'll get into in a little bit, Better Edge as well in the chat. We got Matthew as well. What is up, everybody? We see you. We absolutely love the support. Thank you very much. Z, I have to say, Hoppy, myself, Travis, we're all wearing a certain apparel here. I mean, where's your Waggle hat?
I would love to know where the fuck my Waggle hat is.
Yeah. Do tell. I heard there's a little story. Heard there's a little story there.
People are just stealing it off your head, probably.
Oh my God. I was at this apartment, having some beers before going out, and I literally put it down right before we left, and I was taking a piss, and I came back out, and someone fucking had it, and it was gone. I haven't seen it since. Don't know where it went. And I have interrogated every human being on the face of the earth in the city of Boston, and it is just gone. So I'm not pleased with that. My bad.
We'll have to get you a replacement.
I wouldn't hate that. I might have to buy 7 of them. They're all fucking sick, dude.
Dude, I barely take this one off. I gotta get another.
I
one.
love that one, Isha.
I know, and I've actually been getting, because I've been doing live streams on both this channel and my personal channel. And Travis, no joke, everyone's like, "What is that? Like, I love the palm tree. That's so cool. I love wearing palm tree clothing. Like, what is that hat?" And I'm like, "Yo, get your fucking waggle on. Let's go." And so hopefully it's led to a few sales there. But again, a great partnership we have, the Waggle Golf. Travis, a hockey legend in his own right, and one of the best apparel companies out there. Keep the comments coming, folks. You all are amazing. Just a couple I just want to address right off the bat, Hoppy, before we get into some hockey talk. And we'll definitely talk some beer too throughout this live stream. Hunter saying Z got that giant hog. Integrity Farm. Z looks like a 29-year-old Zegris. Just to Z. That said, Z, the most popular character on the Sota Pod now. He's got fans just hitting up the chat. Vince saying, "What's up?" Vince saying, "Go Blackhawks." We're not going to get into that at all, Vince. As Josh gives the thumbs down. All right, before we get into the hockey talk, what are we all drinking here, boys? What are we all drinking here? I know in the Sota Pod, we always bring something on tap here, or we at least aspire to. I know Hoppy and I, we've been testing out some nice beers over the weekend, which we'll get into later in the show. But right off the hop, what do we got on tap here? What do we got on tap? Hoppy, what are you drinking?
Something really strong that I'll probably regret. It is a barrel-aged Imperial Stout from Drecker, one of the bottles that I got from them when I went up for Drecker Fest. It's got peanut butter, banana, some other shit in there. I don't know, but it's delicious.
Everything you need.
Josh, did you bring anything for the occasion?
Yeah, man, I got my UVGE here. UVGE mug here.
Yeah.
And then I got cracking it open right now. We got this is called Hammy, and it was a collab that we did with Jack's Bottle Shop down in Rochester. It's a fest beer meant to be consumed during that Oktoberfest time frame, and it's quite delicious, if I do say so. I would pop this Days of Our IPAs in here. I don't need a 10% beer at 6 p.m. on a Sunday.
And that's the Barrel Theory.
At the beginning of a podcast.
That's the Barrel Theory collaboration you did?
Yeah.
Shout out to them.
Shout out to Barrel Theory. It was the second highest rated beer in the entire country on Untapped when it was released last week.
Not a big deal.
Yeah. Basically,
wow,
North
that's
America.
Amazing. That's so cool, guys. Congratulations. That's amazing to hear. Z, what do you got on tap?
Really nice double IPA.
Bud Light, there it is.
Yeah.
I saw it earlier.
Yeah, it gets the job done.
Well,
Beautiful.
12 of them gets the job done.
Well, last night it was about 18, and I write down. Oh yeah, no, I was good. I had 8 games going last night at the same time on 2 screens, so my ADD was flying all over the place. And then there was just a 30 rack sitting right next to the other screen, and it was just one after another. It was great. Big fan of that move.
That's what keeps you going, right?
That's the American dream. That was me living the American dream.
Amazing. Travis, you sipping on anything this evening?
Yeah, I got a Lupulin Hui.
Very nice.
Kind of a go-to. I will say I did actually. I stopped at like the Cub liquor store on the way here. I'm at the office, and I was looking for Back Channel because I haven't had it yet. So it was in the back of my mind. We will get there though.
All right. In due time.
In due time.
And lastly, before we finally segue to hockey talk, and yes, we will have sections throughout the stream where we're just going to dive through all the comments here and address them. We are reading them, folks, so keep them coming. It's absolutely amazing. Thank you for supporting our YouTube channel and, of course, the podcast. Tofino Brewing Company here, Ethereal IPA. It's a tremendous hoppy IPA, beautiful sights of Vancouver Island on the can. Never had a Tofino Brewing Company beer that I haven't liked, so I'm getting my Vancouver Island beer fix, while I still can, because in 13 days, hit the streets and I'm driving all the way to Minnesota, boys. Let's go. And
It's
very
a good
excited
time
for that. Yeah, I mean, sipping on Back Channel, wearing that Waggle swag
on the reg,
betting with Better Edge and eating 7th Ave pizza. Could life get any better than that? I don't think
No.
so. And also hanging out and talking hockey with
Right,
all of
right. Arriving right when winter hits too. Like, good
Yeah.
choice.
you. How Canadian of me is that? All right, folks. On the other side, we're going to dive right into it. We're going to get into first the Atlantic Division preview and division rundown live here on the Sota Pod YouTube channel and podcast. See you folks on the other side.
Our focus today is men who have had unsuccessful plastic surgery. Enter Peach's All-American Sweepstakes with a grocery purchase of $50 or more.
Might as well just hit this bowl.
Tickets to our nation's first
Hey, can you see me if I'm looking at the screen right here?
Yep.
All right, cool.
All
It's
right.
like, no, it's like a good screen. It's a necessary screen.
Super necessary. All right. We're getting into our first segment here, folks. We're going to run down the Atlantic Division. Again, this is newly brought to you by Better Edge. I mean, tell us, these are our picks. These are our picks that we're betting on this season. If you have any other picks that you've been betting on this season, you know, some future bets here, some prediction rundowns, things like that, let us know. We're going to have some more Better Edge focus segments as we move on this season. So shout out to them. Let us know how you like our picks. We want to hear yours as well. Let's kick this off, boys, and start with Z talking about the Boston Bruins here as the Atlantic Division. I know, Z, you're a resident Boston Bruins fan. First of all, like, condolences. Chara had a great career. I know you were a little sad on Twitter
Respect.
about that, but just wanted to say that because we haven't had time. You and I haven't had time to touch on that since that all went down. Hoppy and I did talk about it on our podcast. So if you haven't listened to the last Sota Pod episode, go and check.
Fun fact, Vic. I mean, you know, when you think of Boston Bruins, I mean, you really do kind of think of Zdeno Chara, at least over the last decade. See, I do. And I was in a high school hockey game thing in Eveleth back in the day, and we were playing this NHL hockey history board game. And one of the questions on there was, who is the tallest player in the NHL? And the answer was Zdeno Chara, but it was when he was a rookie, and we're like, who the fuck is this 6'9" Zdeno Chara guy? Like, never heard of him or anything like that. And then he turns out to be one of the best defensemen in history. So, I don't know, fun fact. That's how I learned of Zdeno Chara.
Yeah, man, out of Prince George, BC, with the Cougars in the WHL. Went from having Chara there for a year, then Bufflin came through the system as well. So, I mean, growing up, I don't remember watching Chara playing there, but I do remember Bufflin coming in. Actually, Bugard played there as well. So, like, a very tough WHL team. Anyways, that I got to see growing up. But yeah, anyways, opening thoughts on this Atlantic Division, boys. Hoppy, where should we start?
Let's hear it, Travis. Is there anything that stands out to you on this graphic, like someone that's way too high, way too low, in your opinion?
I guess, I don't know. My gut tells me Tampa's maybe had their time. I feel like they may slip this year. I know they got rid of McDonough. All of my hockey knowledge is a little limited right now. I have a 7-month-old. Can't say I've been in the weeds in the hockey space really in a while, but I see Tampa slipping. I don't think they're going to be what they've been.
Fair. Josh, how about you?
The question was what? Sorry.
What looks off here? What doesn't make sense to you?
On this?
Yeah. Or is this exactly how you ranked them?
I don't think Boston is going to finish in that 4 slot. I think they're going to have a tough year with the not having Marchand early on and McAvoy. Just right out of the gate, it's gonna be a tough little start for them, and I think at Ottawa, Detroit, and Buffalo are going to be really on the come up, and they're going to challenge early on, and I think it's going to be a tough hole for Boston to climb out of, and it's not a product of their team, you know, like their team overall. I think they got a great team. I think they're just going to have a tough start.
No, Josh, you said it there, and that's the biggest point that I take away out from this. And Hoppy and I have talked about this on the podcast before. I think the Atlantic Division low key is, you know, might be the most competitive division out there as far as it being hard to call how it's going to play out the start of the playoffs. I mean, Toronto, Tampa, sure, they're definitely that step above everybody else in this division going into the season. You know, Florida not quite what they were last year. Boston, you said it, not quite what they were last year. But the real question is, how much better are Buffalo, Detroit, and the Senators, you know, going to get the season, and you know, how far are they going to jump in the standings? So this one for me, I mean, I hate the Toronto Maple Leafs. I even, you know, put them number 1, but yeah, that's low key for me. What stood out for me for this division. And in our poll question in the YouTube chat, by the way, folks, we are asking all of you what division you think is the deepest / best, and you can make an argument, you know, for either if you want.
And Z, aside from Boston, because we're going to get into it here, we're going to pull up everyone's individual ranks, but anything else that stands out to you as being off on here?
I mean, I don't see the Leafs in 1. As you'll see in a second, I don't really know what to make of the top 4. I do think there are way too many people assuming Boston's just going to fall off. Like, they're going to be without those guys to start, but the opening of their schedule is pretty easy. So this is, you know, and Isha, you just said they're not what they were last year. They're better than they were last year, bringing in Zaka, bringing back Krejci instead of Eric Halla. Like, and you talk about they had the best team defense in the league last year, and you're bringing back Bergeron. Hampus Lindholm's going to be here for an entire year. And I do think that Jim Montgomery is going to make a big difference. So you'll see in a second if they can survive these injuries. I actually have them first. I kind of just went with the full homer because I didn't really know what to make of that top 4, but I don't see a world where Ottawa or Detroit, as much like as better as they got, I don't see a world where they somehow leap any of those top 4 teams. And I think that top 4 could finish in any order, to be honest, except for I don't really think the Leafs can possibly. You look at their goaltending's a problem. Like, that's a lot of issues. And you saw what happened last year when Campbell just decided to not really play hockey anymore. Like, I just don't see a world where they somehow end up winning this division. So I think a lot of people sleep on Boston. I think they are significantly better than they were last year, and they just have to kind of ride out those injuries to start the year. But you know, again, this is a team that just had the best team defense in the league last year, and they don't allow shit in their goaltending unless they fall off a cliff. I think we'll be fine. So I wouldn't be sleeping on the Boston Bruins, and I don't really know if any of the other 3 teams got significantly better either. So we'll see what happens, but I think it's just a case where you get the top 4 teams that are just in a different stratosphere than those bottom 4 teams.
Fair enough. Isha, feel free to hit some of the comments here.
Yeah, and actually we'll start right with Tegrity Farms. He's given us straight up, you know, his prediction as well. Toronto, Tampa, Florida, Ottawa, Boston, Detroit, Buffalo, Montreal. Let us know if you're viewing as well what your rundown is on this division. McAvoy is elite, says Ahmed Wild Fan 57. What's up, Matthew? What else do we got here? Hunter saying Bud Light is for girls. Girls can like Bud Light. Z
Not
can
necessary.
like Bud Light.
As long as it's not Miller Lite, we're good.
Lupulin Brewing. Yes, shout out Lupulin Brewing. And Vince is laughing that we're dismissing him wanting to talk about the Blackhawks.
There's plenty to talk about there. It's just not good.
The Leafs are probably not winning the division. Ooh, because of the goaltending? You're on that train as well? Let us know. Keep the comments coming, folks. We'll continue to bring them up on the screen and address them all as this podcast and live stream continues. All right, now you see here, and if you're listening to the podcast, go check out the live stream here. You can watch it in total or full on YouTube, or we will break it down division by division. So as you can see here on the screen, the Atlantic Division, all of our picks, how we predicted it would break down. Let's start with...
We already kind of hit the Boston Bruins,
Yeah.
which is where we were going to start. I mean, Z, Letty, anything else we want to hit on here? Because you two are obviously the biggest discrepancy there. Z, did you pretty much hit your notes?
Boston's been doing their thing for a while, and it's tough to sustain. And when you got a couple of their top players that are going to start hurt like that, I mean, you know, I just don't. Just not going to be able to sustain. It's going to be a tough year for them. They're going to bounce back next year. It'll be all right. They got a goaltender tandem, and that's it's healthy. It's nice to have two guys that are very competent, but I don't know. It's going to be tough to get into a rhythm when you got some injuries starting on the season.
My one that I want to highlight is Z's the only one who picked Buffalo to finish at the bottom of the division. Z, why do you think that is? Do you just think they just haven't improved the roster enough yet, and that some of the younger players aren't going to click, or like what's your reasoning? Because most of us think Montreal and or the Senators.
You mean Buffalo?
Sorry, Buffalo. Yeah.
I mean, I think Ottawa is significantly better. They're going to score a lot of goals. We'll see what happens with Cam Talbot, but that defense is still a pretty big problem. But I do think that they're going to be good enough and score enough goals to surpass teams like Detroit, who I think their defense is still going to be a bit of a tire fire. I mean, like their big addition was Ben Sherratt, who stinks. So I don't really see Detroit. I think Ottawa and Detroit, two, they're going to be, significantly better than they were last year. But and I just look at Buffalo; they just didn't do anything. Like they got better last year, obviously with. After that Eichel saga ended. But, you look at Montreal, they add a couple guys like Kirby Doc. We'll see what happens with them, and we'll see what happens with their defense specifically. But I just don't really see where Buffalo got better at all in the offseason. So to me, I just look at it and I don't really see how they kind of overtake anybody. And they make that run for Bedard.
For me, they got better in season last year. Like the way you saw them finish the year, I think they're going to be able to carry that. Do I think they're going to contend for a playoff spot? No. Do I think they're better than Montreal? Personally, yes. But to your point, Z, I think the most interesting matchup here is Detroit and Ottawa. Like we had them across the board with all of our averages. Like they were both tied at 5. And I personally, I think both teams don't have a great blue line, but I'd still probably lean Detroit's over theirs. And I like what they did to upgrade their goaltending position. They brought in a couple of veterans at forward, and I'm also a lot more afraid of Steve Yzerman than anyone in the Ottawa organization. And I think that team's going to come out bucking. I don't know. I
just don't see Ben Sherratt or Ole Mata doing anything for you.
Ole Mata's a dumpster fire. He sucks.
So I don't know. Like, does Edvinsson make the team? And can he step in right away? I have my doubts there too. I just don't see that Detroit defense being any better than they were last year.
No, but the goaltending can certainly make the defense look a lot better.
Yeah, their goaltending's still up in the air though. Like I don't look at either one of those guys and say, yeah, those are guys I'm comfortable with pushing for. Like they're not going to really challenge for a playoff spot, but they obviously want to be in games. I mean, there was a game last year they fucking scored like 7 goals and still lost. So,
so Z, would you rather have those two goalies, or would you rather have Talbot in his backup?
I mean, I think Talbot's more of a starter than those two. Like I would look at those two versus Talbot and bet on Talbot more than I bet on them. Like I've seen it from Talbot before. I haven't really seen consistently anything from those two in Detroit. So I don't know, but who knows? I think they're going to be pretty close, but I think Ottawa's just going to do enough. I think they're going to score enough goals to be better than Detroit. And again, I just don't really know what Ben Sherratt or Ole Mata, like I just don't see them making a very big positive difference for the Detroit Red Wings.
I don't think they're going to make a negative difference though. And they were a young team. They learned a lot last year and they almost crept in. So adding those guys, they're somewhat stable. Mata's had some experience, deep in the playoffs with the Penguins.
Mata terrifies me.
Whatever. He's not expected to do a lot. They didn't sign that guy to be a top 2 defenseman. He's going to be their 4th defenseman, which is almost like a hybrid 5.
At least they don't have Mark Stahl as their second pairing defenseman. That's a good thing. So you already kind of commented on it, Travis. You said that you don't see the Lightning maintaining what they've done. They're going to fall off a little bit. Isha, you've got them as your number 1 in the division. Like, what's your counter argument to Travis?
I just what I think is some of the players that obviously have left the team. I don't think it's going to make as much of a difference that's going to shoot them down the rankings of this division that much. Like, again, maybe Toronto surpasses them, sure. But I don't know. I just really don't think that it's going to make that much of an impact with how much confidence the team still has, the players who are still there. I don't think that their older players have shown any of a dip last season, the year before, clearly when they're winning enough to really show that much of a concern. So for me, I still have them at the top, barring, you know, something crazy happens this season. They deal with a ton of injury.
Fair enough. And Travis, you're one of the higher ones on the Florida Panthers. I know you said obviously newborn kid, so we'll give you the, you know, the benefit of the doubt if you want to plead ignorance. But
I'm sitting here listening to the trade moves, and I'm like, I wonder which trade move they're talking about. I've seen some of them, but probably only about half of what's relevant. That's why I'm sitting here looking at Ottawa, being like, I missed something, obviously. But yeah, I don't know. I just think I think Florida showed they have another gear, and I don't really think they got any better or worse necessarily from what I've seen. They need to figure it out, obviously, down the stretch and stay healthy and things like that. But I still think they have the firepower and the skill to be way up there.
Well, that's an important trade to probably catch you up on then. Do you know about the Tkachuk trade?
Yeah, I know I know Tkachuk got traded there.
Okay. I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like that team, after losing Mackenzie Weegar, they have no blue line. Like I mentioned before, like Mark Stahl is probably on their second pairing, and he is not a good defenseman. They have one really good player in Ekblad, and there's nothing else on that blue line. They're going to score a ton of goals. I'm probably taking the over in every Florida Panthers game, but I'm kind of scared with what their blue line lacks, and I think in a couple of years they're better for having Matthew Tkachuk than having, a guy like Huberdeau. But I think in the immediate future, I think that's a downgrade.
I don't think Forsling's that bad.
Forsling's really good. He's sneaky, really good.
Looking at
Forsling's real good.
Does anybody have a maybe outside of Boston, like whose blue line is great?
Well, I mean,
Boston's is probably the best.
having
Boston's
Hedman and Sergachev leading that Tampa Bay core is pretty solid.
Yeah,
these guys are
they
beasts.
lost McDonough, right?
Yeah, it's tough, right? But I mean,
no, those two are still great, obviously. McDonough will hurt,
But can Cal Foote step up and be a real NHL defenseman?
Mr. Foot.
We shall see. All right, let's go back to the comments here, folks, as we are seeing a ton of interaction in the live chat here. It's amazing. Who do we got? Integrity Farm again. Shout out to you. Shout out to MN Wildfans 57. Shout out to Hunter. Shout out to Vince. We got Angus McWhorter as well in the chat saying, hey, Aisha and everybody else. Shout out to you, sir. Thank you so much for joining. Also, Florida might regress from losing Weegar and Huberdeau. Yeah, we talked about that for sure. Goaltending and defense are going to be the downfall for the Leafs. Pretty sure Muzzin and others are injured on defense.
I do think there's a world where the goaltending works out just fine in Toronto. Like, all jokes aside, with me loving Matt Murray, like him and Samsonov, like it's not unrealistic that one of them could pop and be just fine.
Ilya's a gamer. That dude's a gamer.
Well, and Murray went through so much. Like, people forget. Like, he was great in Pittsburgh. A lot of Pittsburgh fans like to dog him because he replaced Fleury, and they all got butthurt about that. Then his dad dies right before he goes to Ottawa. That doesn't go well because, like, obviously everyone gets hurt when they lose their dad, but, like, that was, like, his best friend. He was so mentally fragile from that, which obviously isn't great for a goalie. He's going to an organization where he's comfortable. It's his old GM, old coach from playing in the OHL. Like, there's a real chance playing behind a solid team that Matt Murray regains form. Like, no, is he going to look like he did when he won the Stanley Cups in Pittsburgh? Probably not. But can he be a competent enough goalie to get them over the hump to at least win one round? I don't know. It's tough. It's tough in that jersey, but I don't think it's something that can't be achieved.
I mean, they got Giordano for $800,000 on their roster. That's a cheap, high-quality player right there. You know, Muzzin, solid. I've always liked TJ Brody. If that dude can just stay healthy for a full year,
That dude can skate. You said it.
Yeah,
if he can stay healthy, that
absolutely.
dude can fucking
And they're
skate,
on this.
man.
They thrived when Brody was like a rookie and an up and comer in Calgary. That Brody and Giordano was a pair. They're not going to be on a pair, but they're going to be influencing the rest of that defensive core. And Morgan Riley's a fucking solid player, man.
He's sick. And you can't forget they've got a guaranteed deadline pickup come this year in Matty Nyes, who's going to slot right in. And no, will he be great immediately? Probably not, but he makes a difference in that middle six. I don't know. I see a lot.
He threw Hoppy the other day. Z shared that clip, I think.
That was last night. He killed somebody.
Yeah, that was insane.
I mean,
That
it was
kid is
a
a
guy that
fucking-
played in the NA3, but
I mean, it was a massive. That kid's a fucking nail gun.
yeah, he's fun.
All right, any final thoughts on the Atlantic Division, anybody?
I
From the chat,
would
anybody?
just say at any top four finish I could see. Like it wouldn't like any of those top four teams. I guess some people think Ottawa and Detroit are going to be in the top four, but
They will.
Toronto, Boston, Tampa, or Florida, I could see coming out on top. Like it's the same shit every year though. That the top is just so stacked. But we'll see. I think Ottawa's going to need Jake Sanderson first to be healthy, and then just step in right away and be a beast if they're going to make some noise in terms of actually making the playoffs. But it's another weird year with that division. But it's always fun just because the teams are so fucking good.
It's going to be a fun division, like we said right off the top. To follow
Second best
this
division in the NHL.
Oh, second best.
I think it's the best, and I think it's crazy too that like you're right, Z. I think the top four stay somewhere in the top four, but the bottom four all improved, and that's what makes this an absolute gong show, and I'm here for it.
And that's a perfect segue to remind everybody watching to vote in our poll question live in the YouTube chat here. What is the deepest / best NHL division going into the 2022-2023 season? We'll go over at the end of the stream what the final results were. So if you're viewing on Twitter, please migrate over to YouTube, like the video, join our live chat, and vote in the poll question. All right, on the other side, we are going to preview the Pacific Division live here on the City Life Project YouTube channel. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
We're on the Sota Pod YouTube channel.
Oh, man, did I...
Looks like you guys are ready for the next level. Smaller targets.
And we are back live here on the Sota Pod YouTube channel. That may be the first of a couple of slips here. I even said the old company last night on my personal channel when I was streaming another sport. We won't get into that. Anyways, we're going to dive into the Pacific Division here, and you can see how our rankings all played out. Anything that stands out? Anyone in the live chat, let us know. If you're viewing on Twitter or YouTube, let us know in our live chat if anything stands out for you from our picks here. And shout out to Better Edge again. If you have any differing picks, if you want to be critical of our picks, again, hit us up in the live chat or leave us a review on the podcast side. Anything that stands out here, boys, right off the bat? Z, anything stands out? Chat, anything that stands out? We'll start with you, Z.
I once again am going to be an idiot and still, for whatever reason, believe in Seattle at least being better. I still really like their defense, and the goaltending can't possibly be worse than it was last year. Like, it's literally impossible. And I like the additions they made up front with Burakovsky, with Bergstrand, and then a full season of Matty Beniers, who just kind of stepped right in, was an absolute beast for them. So I have them challenge. I don't think they necessarily make the playoffs, but I do think that they're going to be at least demonstrably better than they were last year, and at least challenge for a wild card spot. So I'd say they're the ones that are a little bit low low for me.
Demonstrably better. Holy moly.
Ew. Big words. Big boy words. Travis, what about you? Anything that stands out?
I don't know. There's not a lot that jumps out at me here. I don't think. I think Vegas is a little bit interesting. I mean, I don't really ever know what to expect with them, and I don't know what Kessel is going to bring to that team.
Everything.
To me, like, there's a chance he's like a real difference maker there, and that might put them in a different place than I think they are. But I mean, that's kind of got to come to fruition. Otherwise, I think they're, about their 4 or 5 spot probably.
If Eichel and Kessel play together for most of the year, I'm gonna hate myself for being a Vegas fan. It's gonna be gross. Josh, how about you? Anything that you don't like or love?
I mean, those top 3, that's pretty standard, and then the next 3, that's a little flippy floppy, anybody's guess. And then I do think that it could be Seattle or San Jose at the bottom. Seattle's, I just don't think it's quite their time yet. Got some improvements, but I think Anaheim's youth and they got some really quality players that are ready to make their mark. They don't want to be considered up and comers anymore. Like, they're ready to do it. So, yeah, I mean, I think that Vancouver probably be in that 6th spot, and Anaheim and Vegas, that's kind of a toss up for sure for me.
Fair.
But Calgary definitely top.
All right. For me, I look at all these divisions and I see 1 or 2 locks at the top and 1 or 2 locks at the bottom. And then the middle is just a cluster. For me, I think that one of the 2 Alberta teams is going to be 1 and 2. I think that San Jose is pretty much bolted at the bottom unless injuries pop up for a team. And then I feel like you got the Kings, the Knights, the Canucks, the Ducks, and the Seattle Kraken. All of them are in a fucking blender. And I don't really know how those are going to pop up, but I don't think you can rule out any of those teams. I'm probably least confident in the Ducks out of that group, but any of them could pop up as the 3 or 4. Isha, what about you?
Well, our chat's actually buzzing, so how about I leave my thoughts till we see, everything, all of our picks here, and let's get right to the chat, because Jacob, our boy, who's just absolutely obsessed with Jack Eichel, first of all says Jack Eichel scores 70 goals. So I don't know if anyone has any thoughts on that here. Very high on Jack Eichel, which, I mean, hey, we can respect here on the podcast. We're pretty high on Jack Eichel too.
I mean, we could set that prop on Better Edge, promo code Sota Pod, but
we should.
I don't think you're going to win that one, Jacob.
And Logan Thompson, he believes, is the best NHL goalie. He's surely going to be tested this year.
Okay.
Shallow, keep the comments coming, folks. This is awesome. Integrity Farms, giving us his rundown. Flames, he has a number 1. 2 the Kings, 3 the Oilers, 4 Canucks, 5 Golden Knights, 6 Kraken, 7 Sharks, 8 Mighty Ducks of Anaheim. Thoughts on that list, guys?
Anaheim's not going to finish last.
Vegas will disappoint again and not make it to the playoffs. Why do you think that is? Because of the goaltending situation?
The goaltending situation is the only reason I have to hesitate on them.
Yeah.
All right. I don't get the hate outside of that.
I think there's a little Vegas pressure on them too. They started so hot, and they had so much success, and
who's still there?
It's still a thing. It's like curses in baseball and other sports that last for such a long time. I mean, you might not have been a part of it, but you feel that pressure to perform or do something, and people think it's the Vegas Knights, like they're going to be in the playoffs, like that's what these guys feel, and they might not be ready for it.
Shitter. That's all right.
All right, let's get our rankings here on the screen.
Yeah, let's just kick it off here with Isha, because we've got a team that we love in every division here for the Sota Pod. Obviously, the Wild dominate the Central for us. Z's got his Boston Bruins in the Atlantic. Isha, talk to us. Who are the Vancouver Canucks?
I still don't know. Going into the season, my only real concern and something that like they still have to build up and address was the defense, and an obvious hole on that team's roster. Not that I thought like they fixed the offense or anything like that, but they took some chances on a few Russian players. They're bringing them in, some guys that they hope can spark that offense a little, add some depth up there, allow not the world and pressure to be on Brock Besser, and give him some other line mates, give Bo Horvat some other line mates, and really solidify having JT Miller and Pedersen up there as the 1-2 punch on the top line. However, with how this training camp has been and preseason has been going on for the Canucks, on and off the ice, with injuries on the ice, Brock Besser injured, some of the younger players and new players have been getting injured, and with off the ice, with just some pretty bad allegations of what's going on with the owner, Francesco Aquilini, and his family. It's just like, again, another downer Canucks opener. And I really don't know, like the media is pretty down right now. No one really has clear answers. In a perfect world, they compete for a playoff spot. However, the Kings showed that they're decent, and they're just getting better with some of their younger players. Edmonton, as much as I can't stand them, they have two of the best players, not only in the NHL, but in the fucking world, on their team, and they addressed their biggest hole in goaltending. Vegas, I don't think, has gotten that much worse. And yeah, the Ducks are the wild card. And if I'm going to be honest with myself right now, I think the Ducks have a better season than the Canucks. So,
wow.
There we go. There's my honest assessment, boys.
The Duck over the Canuck.
The Mighty Ducks of Anaheim, as our boy in the chat was saying.
All right, so we're pretty much across the board in consensus on San Jose being at the bottom. Z, you already kind of hit on why you think Seattle's going to kill it. Or not kill it. Compared to what they've done, they're going to be much better.
Getting in the playoffs, that's pretty much killing it.
Do you think they're going to be in the playoffs if they're number 5? Do you think the Pacific is getting 5 bids?
Yeah, probably not. You're right.
Probably not. But Josh, why do you have them dead last?
Should probably have San Jose last.
Okay. We can move on from that one then. He submits. All right. Travis, I'm going to kick it over to you, and I know, Josh, you can chime in here too, but you two were the highest on the LA Kings. What % of that would you attribute to them acquiring Fiala?
What percent of that? I don't know. I think it's like a 10%, 15% boost, maybe offensively. I just think they proved something to me last year. I didn't think they really were going to be that good of a team last year, and I think they showed that they have a lot better roster than I maybe thought. I think they got an interesting mix of like experience and young talent. I think their power plays are going to be really good, and I guess that's why I lean having them up so high. I just think they're going to be pretty good offensively.
It's going to be quick swan song. He's going out hard, taking him on a big old final run. Kopitar is going to be a fantastic addition to playing with Fiala, because Kopitar is, he's a top 2-way player in the NHL, and Fiala, we've always said, is kind of struggled in the defensive zone, and he picked it up a little bit, but having a guy like Kopitar out there, that dude's a fucking leader, and Kempe, that dude's a beast. So either Kempe or Fiala is going to have just a nut buster of a year. And I think it's Fiala's addition to the Kings is like a 18% increase in their success.
Well, it also gives room for like Victor Arvidsson to work and maybe get better matchups. And like, he's no fucking joke. He got 49 points last season, 20 goals as well, with the
when
Kings.
When does he come back? He's hurt, right?
Yeah, but I imagine when they're healthier down the stretch, he's gonna have some way better and easier matchups than he had last season for sure. So I've always liked Victor Arvidsson. I think he's a good addition there at like 29 years old. He's in his prime. He's a veteran, but he can still probably connect with some of the younger guys as well. I was super impressed with his season last year with LA.
All right, Z, you and I are the lowest on the Kings, and obviously we both still have them in the top 4, potentially a playoff bid. But like, what are your reservations on them?
I think just health, but like I think if they stay healthy, like if Arvidsson gets and stays healthy, if Drew Doughty gets healthy and stays healthy, I think they absolutely could challenge for a top 3 or top 2 spot, because I do think they're really good. I was high on them last year coming in, just with the addition of Phil Deneau. Mikey Anderson had a breakout year, so the defense is pretty good there too, and they don't have Oli Mata now, which is great for them. But I do like the Kings.
I agree wholeheartedly with that. By the way, I think Oli Mata's garbage.
I think like in like the Fiala thing, it's going to be huge because they, even as good as they were last year, they're very good defensively, but they couldn't fucking score goals. So that's why I think if Arvidsson and Fiala both stay healthy and can contribute, like that gives them a dynamic of like that rush offense that they were missing, because it was pretty much just Arvidsson doing that. And then I think Trevor Moore had an unbelievable year playing with Deneau. So I think if they still stay healthy and then Byfield takes a step and Kaliev takes a step, they're going to be very dangerous, and they're a very, very good team. We'll see what happens with Jonathan Quick and Cal Peterson. But I like them a lot. I think for me, the ranking was more of just, I think people slept on Vegas a little bit too hard. Because again, they're healthy aside from the goaltending situation, which is pretty up in the air. It's concerning, obviously. But if
What are
they
you
get
talking
healthy,
about? They
again,
have the
it's
best
gonna be
goalie in the
great.
league. They have the best goalie in the league, apparently.
Oh, yeah, apparently.
Apparently.
I like Logan Thompson, though. Like, he was really good for them when he had to step in last year. I mean, he almost single-handedly carried them to a playoff spot. Like, that game against Dallas, that was like the deciding game. He was a fucking animal. So I do like him a lot. I just don't know if he can be a number 1 all season long. But I like the Kings a lot. But for me, again, it was more just being a little bit more of a believer in a healthy Vegas than anything else. So I could see them challenging for a top 3 spot in that division still.
Love it. And we'll circle back on the volatile Duck opinions, but I think we just got to dive into the Battle of Alberta. We'll start with Travis, then go Josh, then Z, then Isha, then me. Let's just hear the arguments for why you like Edmonton more or less than Calgary.
Gosh, I mean, to me, you're like flipping a coin here. I don't know if I have a super strong opinion. I just like the nucleus in Edmonton, I think, as opposed to Calgary, which added some nice pieces. And by the end of the year, there's a really good chance they're going to be firing at a better clip than the Oilers are. But I think out the gate here for a while, they might have trouble figuring out where everybody's playing. I don't know if there's for sure a natural fit for everybody on those like top 6 or maybe even 9 in terms of what their lineup is going to look like. I think you could mix and match a lot of those guys maybe.
All right, so Travis is very neutral. Josh, do you have a stronger opinion?
I think Calgary, it's kind of weird. They lose Kachuk, they lose Gaudreau, but they kind of like shifted any sort of negative team energy that they would have had. Kachuk, I feel like I've heard he's a tough guy to play with, maybe, or be on a team. I don't know. Guy demands a lot. He's a Kachuk. I mean, he's
a lot tougher to play
that
against.
Dude's a fucking badass. And maybe he just feels the same way, and I don't know. He just didn't like it there. So I think having him out and Gaudreau out, and it's a bummer. But I mean, I really think Huberdeau is a fucking beast. That dude's a good hockey player, and I don't know. I just think that they're just gonna retain that success that they had at the end of the season and just beat up other team.
All right, Z, no neutrality here. Why is Edmonton a better team than Calgary?
I mean, that was another toss up for me, because I really did like considering how bad the situation could have been in Calgary. I think they did about as well as they possibly could have done. And it's interesting, like with the Florida versus Calgary dynamic with that trade, like Florida kind of sets themselves long term with like the guys that they have and how old they are, and Calgary firmly cements themselves as like setting up like a 3 to 4 year window with those guys before age starts taking over. So I just think with Edmonton, there's still just a little bit more consistency in that top 6. Like Calgary, they're gonna have to figure the lines out to start, and then obviously I like their goaltending situation better, but Campbell's a better option than one of Koskinen or Stuart Skinner or Mike Smith. So I also like the addition, the fact that they retained Brett Kulak, I think is huge. He was really good for them when he came in, and he was really good in the playoffs for them. So I think they did it up to solidify the back end enough. We'll see what happens with Campbell if he can stay healthy, but I think I just like them a little bit more as Calgary tries to sort out what their new lines are going to be. But again, also though, like Calgary has one of my favorite players in the NHL, Mangiapane. I think he's so fucking good. And I remember the year before or 2 years ago, he like started to come onto the scene, and I started watching him way more closely. And that kid's just a fucking animal. I think he scored 35 last year. So if he features in that top 6, I think he could be a big time weapon for Calgary outside of like Kadri and Huberdeau and all them. So, but I don't know, it was a toss up, but I just kind of took the consistency with Edmonton.
Mangiapane.
Isha, let's hear it. I know you love the Calgary Canucks.
Oh yeah, they're just the better version of the Canucks now. But I truly think, and barring what Z said there, and like looking how the chemistry plays out with all their new pieces, I think they on paper they got better. So the expectation should be that yes, I know Edmonton got better, but I still think Calgary's just slightly on a better or on a bigger level. And I say that only because, sure, their top 6 might be Edmonton's top 6 still might be better, but I truly believe that no matter how good Campbell is, Markstrom is still such a better goaltender. I think that Calgary upgraded their defense when you trade out Uyghur for a Goodbranson. That's an upgrade right there. I like Shillington. I'm interested to see if Yusuf Valimaki is going to take that step, because he's been kind of a disappointment. But other than that, like I really don't have any issues with the Flames defense. I guess just the only thing is like, okay, how are they going to play together out of the gate? Is it going to be instant chemistry, or are we going to have to wait a handful of games to see this work, assuming that it will? But no, I'm super high on the Flames. And Z, you said it there. Like, this could have been an absolute disaster. This could have been a spark for a rebuild. And instead, I mean, credit to Treliving. He's done outstanding work as like his final, shot at a Stanley Cup for, like you said, the next 3, maybe 4 years.
Yeah,
I think Shillington's out to start the year.
Oh, shit.
I think he has like a personal family issue that he had to go home for. I don't know how long term it is, but I think I saw it was Shillington that was going to be. So Valimaki's going to have to play. But
okay. Well, now I'm interested. I'm a little concerned, but I'm interested because he crushed it, man. I watched him from day one when he played in the dub, and I was so high on him when he was drafted, especially in the Pacific.
I mean, the beauty is though, Isha, with the way that they adjusted the roster, like he's a third pairing defenseman now. The top pairing for a team that was so good last year in Calgary is now the second pairing, because Uyghur and Tanev are projected to be the first pairing. And like, can Tanev stay healthy? Probably not. No one fucking knows. But
well, apparently with the Flames he can. Apparently with the Flames he can.
Well, not come playoff time, but no, I really like a lot of what Calgary did. Like, I actually think they got better, and I was super high on them last year. Like, you basically replace Gaudreau with Huberdeau. You bring in Kadri to be that grit and sandpaper instead of Tkachuk, except, oh, wait, he's a center, and you can push Backlund down to the third line. Like, it's crazy to me that I'm that much more excited about the Calgary Flames than I was last year, and I still think Edmonton's better. You look at what they did with Woodcroft after he came in and how much better the numbers were with him. You look at them adding a guy like Evander Kane, which like everyone thought was a huge, volatile, risky move. Dude's going to put up 40 tucks this year easy, as long as he doesn't do something stupid to get removed. And then I totally agree with Z. Adding a guy or keeping a guy like Kulak is going to be a big piece. I think that a guy like Evan Bouchard, like honestly, he's probably in the top 3 of defensive prospects that are going to keep on growing. He's probably only behind Kalen Addison for me personally, and that's due to a little bit of bias, but he's also fucking sick. But for me, the biggest thing here is that like Jack Campbell is nothing special, but he is better. He is notedly better than Mike Smith. He is not going to lose them games the way Mike Smith did. And the best version of Mike Smith, there were a couple of games that he might have won for him, but you can look at Jack Campbell, who's somehow going into a volatile market like the Edmonton Oilers, and he is less stressed out than his previous job because Toronto is the scariest market to play in. If he can keep teams to 3 goals or less, you're winning most of those games. And I think that's enough of a bump that they are definitely the best team in this division. But obviously with any of these teams, one key injury derails all of it. But I think healthy squads, Edmonton and Calgary are clearly the top 2 teams in this division. And I'll lean Edmonton based on those changes.
All right, let's get back to the comments here before we head on over to the next division. I see Jacob's hot take. I'll wait until we get to that respected division. We addressed this actually in our conversation, so absolutely. JT Miller for first-round picks and
For
Troy
4
Terry.
first-round picks? What? Why?
I mean, just so much love for Jack Eichel. You let Jack Eichel have his kids. Oh, look at that. Some praise to me. So I'll throw that up on the screen.
A god list.
Gotta love those God lists.
Man, it's like I feel like they'll have cap issues that strains their roster again, the Vegas Golden Knights. What do you guys think?
I mean, that'll always exist, but I don't know.
It's not on a God list. I don't care.
Sean, what's going on, Sean? Vegas should have gone full villain and sent an offer sheet to Ottinger.
The only problem is next year, Lehner's healthy.
Did Edmonton do anything to address their defense, and is Campbell the answer in net? At least Calgary made the lateral move for a defensive upgrade and a 100-point winger.
I think that's pretty much what we said.
And friendly neighborhood wild fan. We're gonna save the Central Division, the best for last. So we'll come back to that question when we talk a little bit more focused about the Wild. But our next division, which we're going to get into on the other side, folks, is the Metropolitan Division. Again, reminder, keep the comments coming. We're going to keep addressing them in comment segments as we continue to run down all the divisions going into the NHL 2022-2023 season. So on the other side, Metro Division live here on the Sota Pod YouTube channel.
Every time I come in here,
Tim, we're out of Citra.
Support. I'm dying, guys. Again, shout out Back Channel Brewing, Josh Letty, one of the creative masterminds behind all of these amazing commercials. He's showing off the can of the days of our IPAs. And look at Hoppy's got one as well. Look at that.
You know
Shout
what?
out
I
to
said I
Barrel
wasn't
Theory
going to do it.
and
I'm going to
Back
fucking crack that shit right now.
Oh,
You
hell
got it.
yeah, you're going to. Let's go. Again,
Don't
big-
worry, Z, I'm with you now. I'm doing basically Bud Light adjacent right now.
As you should.
Very nice, very nice. All right. Shout out to everyone who's joining us live on the Sota Pod YouTube channel. If you're viewing on Twitter, please migrate over to YouTube so you can join our live chat. Keep the comments coming, folks. We will address them in comment segments throughout this stream. We have reached the halfway point now. The Metro Division. And I'm curious to check on our poll question at the end of the stream. So please vote on our poll question live on YouTube as well on what you think is the best / deepest NHL division going into this season. I feel like this one might be up there as well, folks. The Metropolitan Division. Anything that we see here that's surprising, folks? And I ask you, the chat, as well, that question. Please let us know your thoughts on our picks here as we run down the Metro Division. But,
Yeah, Isha, I got to shout out here quick. Travis, who made an aggressive change at the very end before me
did he?
making the final graphic here. It actually only changed one thing, and it's that we had 2 and 3 were tied, but his change actually pushed Pittsburgh over the New York Rangers, which, like, Travis, I love you. Thank you. Rangers are
travesty.
Oh, Jesus. That might be the next back channel beer. Holy shit. But Travis, your first thoughts here looking at this, because I know the one that you changed is definitely lower than what you had hoped.
Yeah, I don't know. I got a feeling about Columbus. I guess that's the best way I can describe it. I mean, I'm a big Johnny Gaudreau fan. I think he's going to make a big difference there with Line A, and I think it gives them like a really legitimate top six offensively, and I just think they're going to make a big. I just feel like they're going to make a big jump. I don't, for whatever reason, when I look at this division, it's not as clear to me as some of the other ones that we've looked at. I think it's a little bit more up for grabs. And I think that they've maybe made, I guess, in my opinion, some of the best acquisitions. I think they could make a big leap in this division.
This one definitely has some of the biggest fights that are going to come up. Z, what are you seeing? Like, what do you not like here?
I mean, I think it's pretty fair. I do think the Devils are going to be better than the Islanders and probably better than Columbus, but I could see the Rangers challenging with Pittsburgh for 2 and 3. I just do think the Rangers are better. And then Washington's just so interesting because like Backstrom being out, it's a big problem. Yeah. But Strome's also looked unbelievable in the preseason for them. So, they'll be in the mix, but I think 4 is probably the right spot for them. I want to believe in Columbus more than I do, like really badly, because I think once again they scored a ton of goals last year. They just gave up so fucking many. That's a great over bet for anyone who wants to hammer overs. Any CBJ over, it's going to be easy money.
If they wore the third jersey, Cannon jersey that Koivu donned, like would that change your opinion at all of them?
Maybe it would.
I was just going to say, this whole time I've been imagining Johnny Gaudreau just dance around people in that Cannon jersey, and I'm just swooning.
It's a nice jersey.
It's a beautiful jersey.
So good. The second Koivu was traded there, Hoppy picked one up.
It's the best jersey he's ever worn. I'm sorry.
Signed there. Sorry, not traded there. Jeez.
Yeah, he signed. But all right, fair enough. Josh, anything that you don't like here?
I don't know. I think the Islanders are going to have a tough year. I think they moved down 2, and I think Washington moves down 2. Backstrom not starting the season. It's just going to really break that rhythm that they have always had.
Ooh. We'll get into this on the other side, but I'm actually the opposite direction. I know, Josh, you probably have personal bias going into the Islander hate. I actually think the Islanders do better than the group consensus thinks. Isha, what about you? What's off here?
Honestly, just maybe push the Devils up 1 or 2. And I think that's the real difference. I think they take a step forward this year. Not enough to be a playoff team, but enough to show that they're better than the Islanders, honestly. I truly think.
Dev's moving up for sure.
All right, let's go to the chat.
All right. Tegrity Farms, I love this. He's given us his predictions again. Carolina Hurricanes, number 1. New York Rangers. Ooh, Hoppy won't like that one. But he does believe in Pittsburgh and very high on Columbus. Tegrity Farms, let us know.
I like, me and Tegrity are on the same page, kind of, a little floppy with the Pitt and Columbus. And
give us your thoughts. And if they're the same as Josh's, I mean, just say, like, I agree with everything Josh says. But if you have anything extra to add to that conversation, let us know in the chat, why you're so high on Columbus and maybe if there's something there that we're missing. And New Jersey to follow. Wow. So I really think the Young Guns are just going to pick it up. Washington, New York, Philly, bottom. I don't like that Washington pick there, but I'm a little biased. 1 3 any order wouldn't surprise me. Same 4 through 8. Is there anything in particular that surprised you from that, Matt? And Matt, I believe joining us from work, by the way. So thank you very much, buddy. Appreciate it. That's all we have in the chat right now for just this division. We will have another comment segment right after we continue to talk about the Metro. There are some that I've saved that already are asking us about the Wild and the Central, so don't worry, we will get back to those comments. I've saved them. But as we start looking at our picks here for the Metropolitan Division, let's start with the Pittsburgh Penguins. Now, I still think they're going to make the playoffs, as you can see here, but I'm not that high on them. And Josh, you and I agree here. I know Hoppy and Travis will probably want to chime in as well. Z, I mean, they kind of land. It seems like you're kind of neutral on them, but let's start the conversation. Josh, Pittsburgh, why are they 4th on your list?
All right. Pittsburgh.
Getting the link up quick.
I mean, they're going all in on that trio, right? Crosby, Malkin, Letang.
It's a pretty bad trio to go all in on.
Can they actually make that happen? I don't know. I just don't think that they're going to be able to do that. I think the Metropolitan's always been top dog for me the past few years. When I said that Atlantic was the second division, I initially was like, it's the Metro, but after looking at that a little bit more and just thinking about it, I really do think Atlantic is going to surprise. And then it's a toss-up between the Metropolitan and the Central. But when you're looking at Pittsburgh, man, I just don't see Crosby staying healthy all year long, maintaining that pace. He's going to have a good games. Maybe he's going to be like, I don't know. I respect it if he does. And like, he deserves it. He's a beast. I just don't like the makeup of that team getting into the playoffs. That's a tough division. And then with the Atlantic out there, they're going to have a lot of tough games.
So Josh, you're pretty much just if you think someone's going to get hurt, you just hate a team pretty much.
I mean, it's kind of like this day and age, man. People get hurt and your fucking team gets fucking shafted. And it's tough to predict that a team is going to be healthy all year long in this day and age. And I mean, you're talking about a 35-year-old, a 36-year-old, and another 35-year-old as far as, them maintaining a top level all year long in a new NHL where a lot of players are able to make their mark in their first, second, third year. I mean, that's tough, man. It's tough to maintain that status.
How old is Blake Wheeler again? I forget, guys. Remind me. Point per game, Blake Wheeler, dominant player. I forget. 30.
He's my age. He's 38.
We're talking about the Metropolitan here.
Oh, no, he's not. He's not. He's 36. He's 36. He's 2 years younger than I am. Played with him.
I just threw the first, older player that came to mind out there who's an absolute stud. And,
No, and I understand it. But all right, so we got the 36-year-old who's coming off of still a point per game season after coming off of a pretty serious injury. We've got the 35-year-old who's a top 5 player in the NHL, probably, and still trains and eats like he's a fucking 25-year-old gazelle. And then we've got Letang, who's coming off of legitimately his best season that he's had as a Pittsburgh Penguin.
Can they do it again?
No, that's a very valid question. I'm just saying there's a lot of reason to not be worried about them. You're right. They're all getting older. Who knows when they're going to fall off the cliff? It's very legitimate. And I don't know, Isha, of all of you probably knows that everyone's biased about their team. I'm pretty unbiased about the Penguins. The only bias I might have is that I think Mike Sullivan is easily a top 3 coach in the NHL. I don't think it's even up for discussion. But
I can't believe he's never won a Jack Adams. I cannot believe that motherfucker has never won a
fucking
coach.
shameful. It is shameful that a
Hoppy
coach
just freaks out
who
about it.
brings his team to the playoffs every goddamn season with the amount of man games lost to injury, when it's the caliber of player with man games lost to injury, and Mike Sullivan just rinses and repeats, comes back. He's like, oh, no, it doesn't matter. We're going to shuffle the deck. We're going to be fine. We're going to find the right line combos. We're going to get into the playoffs. And then, oh, wait, our goalies, all 5 of them are going to get hurt every goddamn season. For me, I'm sorry, New York Rangers, kudos to you. You beat the Pittsburgh Penguins. If Pittsburgh's second goalie is healthy for those playoffs, Pittsburgh steamrolls them. It was not close. Pittsburgh absolutely dominated them in every aspect of the game except for goaltending, which, the funny thing is, Shesterkin was pretty, meh in that series. It's just the fact that Louis Domingue played 5 games that, oh, shit, Pittsburgh lost in 7 games. But I think their blue line is okay. They made some adjustments. They didn't really get worse. They didn't really improve a ton. I think it's going to be interesting to see how a couple of the additions fit in with that team, but I don't have any concerns there. If the goaltending can stay healthy, no concerns there. Top 6 for the Penguins, I think, rivals the majority of the league. Bottom 6 has some question marks, but I still think Teddy Bluger is one of the better defensive centers in the league. I just largely think that this is a team that everyone's going to get on me in the first month and a half of the season because Pittsburgh always starts slow. And then come December, everyone's gonna be like, holy shit, Pittsburgh's really good. And I'm be like, yes, this happens every goddamn season.
They just wait till,
anyone else have thoughts on the Penguins?
They just wait till after Thanksgiving to
It's true.
ramp it up.
Well,
American Thanksgiving.
real
Let's throw to Travis here, because honestly, Hoppy, you and Travis are the only ones who believe in the Islanders this season.
Yeah, I just think they had an off year last year. I think something, I don't know exactly what the missing link was. I guess I don't even know if they for sure got it, but I just think I like their core. I mean, like Lee, Nelson, Barzell. I mean, I think those guys, I just think they have a really strong core. I just have a tough time believing they're going to fall that far. I think they're going to be better than they were last year and just in the hunt. I think they're going to be in the hunt for a spot. I don't know if they'll get it, but I think they'll be right there.
I'm going to do it, guys. I'm going to call an absolute superstar hockey player underrated. I think Matthew Barzal at the end of this year, everyone looks back and they're like, why did we not think that he was going to be this good? I'm with Travis. I think they underachieved last year. We look at what happened the couple of years prior, and Josh stepped away for a second, but when he comes back, I'm sure he'll agree with me that losing Nick Leddy definitely hurt the glue in the locker room. I think, like, being completely honest, I think Nick Leddy is a really big piece that the Blues picked up. But you look at the team, they have the defensive structure. They lost the guy, Barry Trotz, who is, I think, one of the best coaches that we've seen in recent years. He got replaced with his protege, who's got a very similar philosophy, but maybe it loosens things up. We get a little bit more offense generated. They've got, in my mind, one of the best shutdown pairings in Pelech and Pulak, which, like, that kind of fucks with my brain a little bit, just how close those names are. But I just think this is a team that started last year on the road, building the new rink, got off to such a bad start that they could never rebound from. This is a team that I don't see being a true, like, Stanley Cup contender, but I think they're going to come back in a big way this year, and I think this is a team that makes the playoffs.
Z, let us know your thoughts on, as we, move forward here. Let us know your thoughts on the Devils. I know we talked about them in the opening.
I want to hear his thoughts on the Islanders, because he's got them down at 7.
Well, I mean, okay, start with the Islanders if there's anything else that we missed there. But then let's transition to the Devils. I know we talked about them, like I said, in the intro, but I want to hear your breakdown on them since you're the prospect expert, the young guns expert, and they are a young team, building their core, and they might take a jump. But if there's anything, you want to touch on the Islanders, by all means.
I mean, the Islanders they're just dog shit. Like, they're so fucking bad. Like, and they did absolutely nothing in the offseason. They didn't do anything. They literally
no, that's not
nothing.
true. They had rumors about picking up Kadri.
Yeah, they thought about it.
All right, here's my thing. I didn't mention this. I just have to throw this out there, guys. They have a top 3 goaltender and the best backup goaltender in the league.
They have them, and they have Pelech and Pulak. And then I do love
Barzell is fucking sick.
Yes, he is, but he has nothing to, like, no one that can play the way that he plays. There's no one that can do that with him. And, like, everyone's like, oh, new voice. I'm like, well, they fucking hired the assistant coach. Like, it was the same.
It's just slightly different.
So what difference from last year, aside from not starting on the road and not getting slammed by COVID, like, what makes this team fucking, like,
those are pretty big things.
Top 4 team in this fucking division. Like, they're not better than
it's that you think that the Rangers are good.
They're not better than Rangers.
Yes,
the Rangers fucking got better. They did get better.
How did they get better?
What do you mean? They bring in who? Vincent Trocheck.
I think that's a downgrade, personally.
Player.
I think them moving on from Strome, who had a really good rapport, good.
For fuck's sake. All that guy does is miss the fucking net.
But he played well with Panarin. Panarin was happy. Trocheck's going to be hurt half the fucking season.
All fucking Ryan Strome does is miss the net. Literally, that's his whole thing.
Well, that's why he doesn't shoot and he gives it to Panarin, and we're good.
He does. And I think Kakko and Lafreniere are going to have fucking monster years.
I think that's the key for sure.
And I really love Keandre Miller. So I think he has an even bigger breakout year. I'm not as high on Trouba clearly as
I think
the
Trouba's
Rangers are,
leadership is going to destroy this team. The C stands for concussion. He's going to break people's skulls, and he's going to be out of the league in like 2 months.
The only thing I see providing issues for the Rangers is fucking Gerard Gallant. Like that's the only problem that they have.
That's
like,
a real problem, though.
I know. He just has to put Sammy Blais on the top line, or he has to fucking like not play the kid line. The kid line was unfucking believable in the playoffs.
In the
Did they
playoffs,
overachieve though? Did they overachieve? Is that can we expect that from them every year? I feel like they were riding a hot streak, which is great, but I don't know if that's them.
Well, they also have possibly a top 3 defenseman on the planet. They also have a top 2 goaltender on the planet.
so here,
They have
real question though.
They've got what?
Shesterkin's filthy. I would label him number 2. I would. But do you think that he can replicate last year's numbers? Do you?
Yes, because I've watched him for fucking 5 years.
But no goalie does that back-to-back years.
You know, between
the
NHL and in between the NHL and the KHL, that dude's lost like 25 games total in his life. He doesn't lose. Like he's a great fucking
goalie.
believable.
How crazy is it that the top 3 goalies in the NHL are all Russian, by the way?
Yeah, they're a fucking goaltending factory. And Askarov, let's see what he does with Nashville eventually. But like that's another one.
Nah.
Yeah, everyone's already being like, no, he's not that good. I'm like, okay, fucking.
He's not bad.
Sure.
It's not bad.
He had like one bad World Juniors, and everyone's like, "Yep, he's dog shit." It's like, okay, sure.
He's not dog shit. He's just not Wallstedt.
No, he's not Wallstedt. Wallstedt's the best goaltending prospect on the planet.
Correct.
But that doesn't mean there's like being the second best goaltending prospect on the planet isn't like some massive drop off. But this was all started with the Islanders. They just didn't do dick all. They literally didn't do anything in the fucking offseason except sign Zach Parise to a 2-year fucking extension. And like they're just gonna keep rolling out that fucking fourth line of Clutterbuck, Martin, and Cizikas. Cizikas is fine defensively. That's literally all he does. But like there's just no offense there outside of Barzal. They need Brock Nelson to score 30 or 40 goals every year if they're going to be like legit. So
yeah, that's not happening.
I just don't see a world where the Islanders are like a whole lot better than they were last year, considering it's the same exact fucking team. So like literally it's the same fucking team minus Zdeno Chara. Like,
all right, real quick before we move on to a new team, Josh, you missed a lot of ups and downs with the Islanders. Here's your chance to shit on them and talk about how losing Nick Leddy destroyed this team.
With no bias whatsoever.
The whole makeup of the team. I mean, that was they made the playoffs. They won games. 2 Eastern Conference Finals back to back, and then plummet. I'm sorry, that's just what happened.
Oh, sorry. They did make one fucking. They brought in Romanov. Yeah, Romanov, the fucking Norris caliber defenseman. Unbelievable.
No, seriously. I mean that once they moved into that new arena, I mean the whole makeup. Like, I mean, I don't think the Islanders fans want to be fans of the Islanders.
How could you?
That.
You know.
I like that.
Oh man. All right, we got a lot of comments coming in, so whatever. We talked enough about the Devils. They're going to take a step forward this season. Exciting to watch. Okay.
You don't want to gush on the Capitals first?
No, I'm good.
He's moving on. Okay.
Pittsburgh is my cup pick. Wow.
That's
acquire Patty Kane at the deadline. Let's go. Whoa.
Oh, wait.
How are they going to do that?
I wanted to Pittsburgh. I refuse to like bet against them until Crosby is no longer in the NHL. Like I just can't do it. Like I do think that when they fall off, I think it's going to be fucking like horrible because they literally don't have prospects. They don't have any. Well, that's not true. They picked up Owen Pickering. That was a really good pick.
Pickering's sick, but that's it.
They literally have him and like Sam Poulin, who still hasn't fucking made the NHL.
Poulin and Legare are both meh.
So like they have nothing with the youth. But I just can't bring like Crosby. If he was healthy all year last year, he's challenging for the Hart Trophy. He came back from that massive injury and was just the top 5 player in the show the whole fucking season.
Dude,
At no point did he fall off.
See, if he and Bergeron are the 1-2 for any team, can they possibly lose?
It's hard. It's pretty fucking hard.
I mean, I'm going to continue to say this. Like, I will not crown anybody the best player in the National Hockey League until Crosby hangs up the skates, especially with how he's.
And
still
you hate
playing.
Crosby, so that's big.
Yeah, I won't give it to Bure 2.0 just yet, but he's creeping up there. Anyways, yeah, as we continue with these comments, Matt saying, I think the Devils will surprise. They didn't have Hughes for a solid chunk of last season.
You could just show the comment.
Well, I did for a little bit, so I'll just.
I like the Devils if they stay healthy. I like the Devils.
Let's be clear. I think that Pittsburgh and Carolina are at the top, and I think that Philly is stapled at the bottom. I think all the other teams could end up anywhere.
Stunning. It is stunning how bad of a hockey team.
The level to which that Chuck Fletcher mismanages that squad is fascinating. Like, Wild fans want to complain about him. He didn't pull this shit.
They were like, why didn't you make a run at Johnny Gaudreau? And he's like, well, we would have had to trade like half the roster. And I was like, yeah, I mean, that would have been great for you.
That really good roster.
You could have literally not signed Gaudreau, but traded away half the roster. And I'd be like, that's absolutely
still improvement.
Such a good move for you guys. That roster is so fucking bad. It is unbelievable how atrocious that team is.
Oh man,
Tortorella's literally gonna run them all into the ground too. They didn't touch a puck in their first day one. They didn't fucking touch a puck.
When the players are like, puking on the ice after doing like just after practice and stuff like that, like oh man. Good old John Tortorella. Integrity Farms, a healthy Sidney Crosby will get you 35 goals and 70 assists. Friendly Neighborhood Wild fan saying Devils will be better than last year. Probably not a playoff team, though. Maybe a wild card if things break right for them. But they're in a tough division. Maybe the toughest division. Metro is stacked. Yes, vote in our poll question, by the way, in the YouTube chat. Let us know what you think is the most stacked division. What else do we have here? I think Malkin has a resurgence and the Pens still take a step back. Not sure what to make of the Isles. They'll probably be bad. I mean, listen to Z. He quote unquote said they are dog shit.
They're
horrible.
Rangers got better. Trouba really is an ass though. I agree. I agree.
Fucking sucks. All right. Basically Malcolm Crosby thing. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Support that guy.
Let's transition here. Let's get to what everyone cares about, the Central Division on the other side.
And we're back live here on the Sota Pod YouTube channel. Quickly, Josh, before we run down the Central, talk about that last promo that we just showed our viewers here, because Hoppy had the pleasure to go and check it out. Yes, he also was showing off that beautiful glass as well. Talk
Ultimate
a little
Vikings
bit about Vikings game day.
The ultimate Vikings game day experience. It's the only way to watch a professional football game. It's an interactive experience. You're into it the whole time. You're having fun. And most importantly, we're winning the game. I mean, whenever we get together and there's a Jumbotron outside, it's a party. We got 2 more left this year. One is October 9th. The other is October 30th. Otherwise, you can check our website for indoor Ultimate Vikings game day experiences, which are still awesome, but they're just a little bit more weather appropriate by being inside.
Isha will be there for October 30th.
Oh, it's gonna be wild.
Cannot wait.
Sneak peek. We haven't even talked about this yet, but that'll be the debut of Parlor's food trailer at our tap room. They're going to be basically having a separate, specialized kitchen for our tap room. It's going to be fucking wild. Parlor at the lake.
I'm gonna have to pace myself with the food because I definitely have to get those. What were those dumplings we got, Hoppy? Or what were they?
We went to Asian Bistro, the greatest Chinese food that you will ever find.
Yeah, that'll be around for a while.
They'll be there. But real quick, because Josh, thank you so much for being with us this whole time. I know you got a jet here in a minute. So real quick, before we bounce through all this, just give us your thoughts in general on the Minnesota Wild so we can let you run.
First off, is that a Minnesota Wild like man bear pig?
It is, yes. That's the best thing my wife's ever made.
Can we please make that the actual logo for the Minnesota Wild? Because I think that's more appropriate. That's
I would
so
cry.
great.
The chat is loving it, by the way.
if that's cool, like we'll make a back channel T-shirt out of that. It'd be a Sota Pod, fucking man bear pig, Minnesota Wild.
You
that's
might have
collab.
to get permission from South Park if you're going to monetize it, but
fair enough. I think they might appreciate it. They would understand.
Just add like a period or spell it off or something and you'll be good.
Yeah.
I'll help you out there.
So the Central here, huh? I think it looks pretty standard based on where we finished at last year. I don't think there's much change. Like St. Louis, I think St. Louis, Dallas, and Nashville, that really could be the only like flippity floppy situation going on here. Ultimately, I do think St. Louis is going to be the third seed overall over Dallas and
their
over
blue
Nashville.
line's a little thin, though, don't you think?
Super weak, right? I don't know. I think they're going to be solid, man. Nick, like he thrived on that team, and I think that the team really thrived when they picked him up at the end of the season. And it's a solid blue line. They know their role. They're not going to be too flashy. They're going to be consistent. Bennington knows what's in front of them, and that's going to be a solid core. And yeah, you lose Perron, but I mean, fucking Riley Thomas and Kyrou, those guys need to step up. So I'm banking on them stepping up and maintaining that Blues presence, not necessarily to the point where I think they're going to be thrust into the top two, because I mean, the top two are definitely the Avalanche and the Wild through and through. You can't argue with that.
Can't argue with that. Okay, Josh, do you need to run?
I can stay for a few more.
All right, he can stay for a few more. All right, real quick then, Travis, anything that looks off here?
I was just looking at mine. I think this was really close. I think I was about the same with Josh. I think maybe there's like St. Louis, Dallas, Nashville. I think that could kind of flip-flop a couple different ways. But I did have the Wild one over the Avs. But, I mean, I do think they're the clear top two. Yeah, I didn't have much different than what's here.
All right, Z, what makes you upset about this one?
Nothing really. I think I put St. Louis 2 and Minnesota 3. And then
Is that an Atlanta Thrashers logo, by the way?
Yes. I like to have fun with these.
All right.
If you haven't noticed, with the Mighty Ducks logo as well, and yeah,
trying to get them sued by Disney.
Yeah. Nice. I like Coyotes though. That's such a dope logo.
Oh, best logo in the league. Period. Isha, anything you're upset about?
Not really, to be honest. The chat's a little upset that Dallas is too high.
Oh, fuck that. Dallas
Throw it up.
I think I had Nashville. And
what happened to Dallas that made them a bad team?
That's what I want to know. They have one of the most underrated young players on the come up in Robertson, who should have won the Calder. Hot take.
Best second,
get canceled.
They got the best second line in the NHL. Fucking Ben, Sagan, Pavelski, filthy.
Isn't
those?
Pavelski?
That is.
Maybe I'm confused on what the lines are.
That's where their depth are. That's where their depth chart's at right now. I mean, who's
on the first line right now then?
Marchment, Rupe, and fucking Gurianov.
Marchment's on the first line. Holy fuck.
Yeah.
All right, that's something different.
We'll see.
Bro, Chicago's stupid. Give him your next 2 firsts and a prospect. Fuck it. Let's roll. Oh my God, it's happening. Talking about the Kane trade to Minnesota.
That'd be fun.
That would be fun. All right, I gotta bounce. I'm sorry, guys.
No worries, buddy. Thank you so much for joining. Everyone, support Back Channel Brewing. Follow them. Drink their beer. And we'll see you soon, buddy.
Yep. Love you guys. Sota Pod for the win.
There you go. Back Channel Brewing for the
Love
win.
Josh.
Let's go. Let's go. Absolutely love Josh. He's a regular here on the Sota Pod. Came to the Wild, 50% retained at the trade deadline for a 2028 7th round pick. Resigns for 4 years league minimum, or resigns rather for 4 years league minimum.
Everyone,
this offseason.
public awareness. The hyphen is extremely important.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Resign. They're totally different words. They mean the opposite. If you don't put the dash, you don't put the hyphen, it's a different fucking word.
Oh, the meme that Hoppy made, the Star Wars meme, was just absolutely hilarious.
That one that everyone was abusing? Yeah,
that one was great. That one, I think, it made the rounds on Reddit, too. So, I mean, props to you.
Hey, there we go.
What else
it's
we got?
The only time I've ever mattered on Reddit.
We'll get to the comments in one more segment after we start running it down here, because we got a few more that came in, but we'll put them on the shelf. We'll get right back to them. We're reading them all. Don't worry, and we'll address them on the stream in a moment. Again, shout out to Back Channel Brewing, shout out 7th Avenue Pizza, Northland Vodka, and to our newest partner, Better Edge. We're all wearing the Waggle swag, and we'll continue to pump the up and show off the amazing gear that
most of us are. Most of us haven't been
most
robbed.
of us, except for Z. But hey, someone stole it right off his head.
Boston's a dangerous place.
Yeah, there you go. But our newest partner,
Ruthless.
Better Edge, we got a promo code that you can use. Hoppy, what do our users get from using the promo code when they use Better Edge?
Some kind of sign-up bonus. Just go to Better Edge, use the promo code SotaPod, and you'll get something.
There you go. There you go.
Next
New
time
partners,
I'll probably be more brushed up on this.
New partners, so we just want to start pumping them here on the stream. And it's fitting since we're giving our picks. So let us know what your picks are as well. I see some of them are in the chat. Integrity Farms gave his final pick for this division, so we'll dive into that when we get into the next comment segment here on stream. Again, shout out to everyone who's joining us live here, whether it's on Twitter, whether it's on YouTube. I advise everyone on Twitter, though, to migrate over to YouTube, like the video, drop in our live chat here, vote in our poll question, and let us know whether it's in the live chat or after this stream. If you like us doing these live streams, maybe we will do a few more this season, but let's dive into it. Travis, you got the Wild at number 1. I know you were just swooning about them in a little bit in the intro here, but the only one out of all of us who have them winning the Central. I mean, it's a possibility, but make your argument here.
My argument is I think the Avalanche are worse. I think the Landeskog injury, I don't know what that's going to mean, but I think that's a big injury. I don't know how long he's going to be out. I don't know if they've said, but rough timeline, but I think him being out is a big miss. I think Kadri being moved is also a big miss. I think with those two, there's a grit aspect, and then I think it's just the Stanley Cup hangover. I think they're just going to have a little bit of a Stanley Cup hangover from the previous year. I just don't think they're going to come in like guns blazing like they did. They kind of had something to prove. I don't know if they're going to play the same way. And I think the Wild are kind of in that boat where they feel like they have something to prove now. I will preface that Rossi's got to be a stud. If he's not everything everybody's ever hoped he would be, then the Wild aren't there. I don't like to say that the whole season hinges on that guy, but like I kind of think it does. I think he's got to be that guy.
Amen. Top center is everything, and the Wild have been waiting so long to have one who they can really call a bona fide and solidified top center. What's up, Hoppy?
Yeah, but if he's there, I think the Wild.
Pointing to Addison. So two players.
Yeah, I was just pointing to the Addison jersey, saying that he and Boldy alone are going to fix the power play, and it's going to make a huge difference for the team. I don't know about passing the Avalanche, because although I do agree that they've taken a step back, like obviously losing Kadri is huge. This team still has Nathan McKinnon, who is an absolute lunatic. He will accept nothing below greatness. And I don't know how you argue that this team doesn't have the best blue line in the NHL. It's absolutely insane, the talent that they have on defense. Their goaltending's a little suspect, but I mean, let's be real. Did Kemper really do shit for them en route to winning the Stanley Cup? I don't think so. They got some okay young players that have a chance to prove themselves. Isha, you've got one of your island boys. I obviously am very excited to see Myers from the Gophers have a chance to play this year. I don't think they'll be nearly as good as last year, but I think they've got enough firepower to make it through and still be the best team in the division.
Yeah, shout out to Alex Newhook, by the way.
Heyo.
From the other island out east, but developed on Vancouver Island. So there you go.
There you go.
Got to mention Vancouver Island while I still can.
I got to lead in, Isha, with you being the biggest Nashville Predators crusher, and you have them the lowest in your rankings. Why?
I mean, I guess that's a first day since we've been doing these rankings here on the Sota Pod. I don't know. They haven't gotten much better. They've been kind of that team that's been fringe playoff since they made their run and lost against the Pittsburgh Penguins, which, by the way, Hoppy, you made a futures bet on that one, didn't you?
Which one now?
It was a Pittsburgh and Nashville. I made that was the first big futures bet.
In the Stanley Cup? Oh.
Yeah, that I made, and it was on Nashville, and I had incredible odds, and I was absolutely gutted, which is why I'm a little salty towards the Penguins now for life. But anyways, I just don't think that they address the roster enough to compete with the teams as we see here in the division. I think Winnipeg is still the real deal. I think Dallas is still a solid team. I think the Blues showed that, and I was critical of the Blues last year, that they're still damn good. And the Wild, honestly, I'm rolling the dice on them, and I'm thinking that they're going to be just as competitive as they showed they could be last year. For most of the season, they were 2-3. They were up there in the division, at least making a name for themselves. Can Fleury, can he be that guy? I know on the Sota Pod podcast, I'm less than complimentary towards him compared to the rest of the Minnesota Wild market, but I still think that the Wild are good enough to be up there, and that Nashville. It's not that they're a bad team. You know, I have them above the bad teams in this division, but I just think the Stars are better. I think Winnipeg's better, and as much as Wild fans will hate for me to say, I think the Blues are better.
How can you not like an offseason where you add Ryan McDonough for nothing and add Nino Niederreiter for nothing?
I mean, the McDonough is going to help them, but they lost Ellis potentially forever.
They lost Ellis before last season, so I don't see why that's relevant.
That's totally right.
And guess what? The Flyers gave up assets for him, and they lost him forever too. So that sounds even dumber.
Yeah, that's crazy, Chuck Fletcher. But I don't know, I'm just not as confident as them, man. I'm more confident based on what. Dallas
you don't think Saros is good anymore, do you?
Saros is the best part and the only reason to tune into the team. But I'm strangely still confident with Winnipeg, and the Blues surprised me last year. I think they still got it this year.
Okay, Travis, any rankings you see here that piss you off? Like anyone you want to call out?
I don't know. The Blues over the Wild, Z. I don't know what that's. I don't know. How do we get there? Outside of that, they have our number in the playoffs. How do we get there?
Yeah, we're talking regular season here, not playoffs. If we're going playoffs, I'm putting the Wild at like 6.
You're throwing it to me now?
Yeah, give it.
Oh, okay. I mean, I just look at the Blues, and again, it's the same thing I said with like the Oilers and the Flames. I just think it's more established, and there's more kind of a solidified idea of what that roster looks like. For me, like I do think there's a world where the Wild finish second and challenge for first in the division, because the Colorado didn't get that much better, but or they didn't really get better. But I look at the Blues, and I love that top 6. Kyrou and Thomas both had their breakout seasons last year. And for me, I think the Wild absolutely have enough to say that they could be better. For me, it's just they have too many ifs and not enough certainty for me. Like you're banking on Rossi kind of fitting in right away, which I think he absolutely can. You're doing the same thing with Addison. You're doing the same thing with Fleury with a full season. And you're saying that he's definitely not going to fall off a cliff. So I think I have more certainty in what the Blues have. So I kind of just went with that, but it's like neck and neck. It's not like, I wouldn't say that they're clearly above Minnesota. I mean, plus, like, if you want to look at the history of how they've been playing against each other last like 3 years, St. Louis has absolutely slaughtered the Wild. I think the Wild may have won 2 or 3 games the last 3 years against St. Louis. And like they get shit pumped too. So,
but you don't have to win those games to be higher in the standings.
Right. So that's, again, I'm just saying there's a little more certainty with what the Blues have. I love Buchnevich. I love Thomas. I love Kyrou. And O'Reilly's still O'Reilly. The questions will be on that back end. Can Krug kind of bounce back? can Nick Leddy, I guess, be as good as everyone in here says he is? I don't think so, but
oh wow, you wait until Josh leaves to say that, coward.
Well, like everyone was like pumping Nick Leddy's tires, and I was like, "What the fuck are we talking about?"
I thought he looked pretty good in the playoffs.
He was on one leg. He didn't look good in the playoffs. The fucking Wild looked terrible. The Wild were so bad. Well, they let him walk in all by himself, and then he scored from 77 feet away. So
I'm not talking about his goal. Jesus.
Well, like, what did he do?
No, I thought he did a pretty good job playing a shutdown role in that series. Obviously, we didn't do enough.
I don't think there was much to shut down. I don't think there was much on Minnesota to shut down.
Sure, but you can't blame him for not having much to play against.
Yes, we looked fine because no one did shit for Minnesota.
Okay,
but I don't attribute that to Nick Leddy. I don't feel like Nick Leddy really shut down Minnesota. I think they just suck.
Fair. And I'm the lowest on the Blues, so I'll chime in because I'll be honest. Like, come playoff time, they're probably my number 2 team here if they make the playoffs. But regular season, this is a team that last year none of us thought very highly of. Like, no one expected the Blues to be a top 3 team by and large in our rankings, and this is a team that lost a little bit of their depth. They lost a couple of their forwards. I think that losing Husso is a big deal for this team because I think Binnington, he's a gamer. He can play in the playoffs. I don't think he can carry the load for the whole regular season. Guy's a fucking lunatic. He's a nut job. He's going to fight half the teams he plays. I'm worried about what that does. I'm worried about getting the big paydays for Thomas and Kyrou. And I think a lot of their players are big-time playoff gamers that in the regular season, it's really hard to maintain that level of play for an 82-game season. Could they easily embarrass me here? Abso-fucking-lutely. But they're the ones that I'm the least confident in of that middle group because I honestly think it goes from the Wild through the Blues in my rankings. Wild, Stars, Predators, Jets, and Blues, they could finish in any order in my mind. I think that Chicago and Arizona suck.
The Dallas love. Why? What is going on?
Dude, I obviously love Ottinger. I'm a little worried about what the coach might do to him, but I think that their forward group, their first line, is a top 4 or 5 first line in the league when things are clicking. I think they've got one of the best defensemen in the league in Heiskanen. I think their blue line, by and large, isn't that bad. I think they're pretty decent, and I don't think that losing Klingberg is that big of a deal, except for the hit on the power play, which I think Heiskanen can fill. I just believe in the group that they had last year. I don't know why people were so down on them. And I do think that, like, outside of maybe 1 or 2 seasons, DeBoer makes the playoffs. DeBoer does not miss the playoffs. He's a good coach. He's a fucking weird dude, and he definitely has some strange approaches. But I think some of the things that he does fit in pretty well with the skill sets that he has here.
But so I mean, you look at, I think DeBoer is a good coach too, but like, what teams did he take to the playoffs that you're like, yeah, there's no fucking way? Vegas was fucking unbelievable when he took over. Like, San Jose was still unbelievable when he took over.
I don't think that Devils team was unbelievable.
What was that, fucking 10 years ago?
Do you really think the San Jose team was unbelievable?
Yes, they absolutely were. They fell out. Everyone's like now like clouded with how bad they've been the last 2 years. That team was fucking unreal.
I'm not saying they weren't a good team. I'm just saying I don't think that they were the best team in the West.
Okay, sure, but they were definitely top 3, which like at that point, any coach can take a team to a fucking Stanley Cup if you're a top 3 team. I think bounce and go. Like, I don't think DeBoer makes a big difference. And like, I just don't believe in Dallas. I think they have one line. Sagan and Ben both are pretty much washed at this point.
Ben for sure. I think Sagan can do okay.
I think he can do okay. He's not $9.5 million Tyler Sagan.
I'm not saying that their payment is appropriate.
But I just don't like, even last year he was a little bit better and he really didn't do anything. Like, I think he scored like 17 goals or something, but they didn't. I mean, like, he didn't really do anything in the playoffs. It's literally Hintz. It's what's his face?
Their first line is sick. I agree. Like, that group is very, very good. But
I just don't see anyone even a little bit close. Like a little bit close.
I think guys like Marchment, Gurianov.
I think Marchment benefited from playing in Florida.
Like, I think they're all decent middle 6 guys.
I think Marchment was really good last year playing in Florida. where he pretty much was just fed tap-ins and he could beat people up. So we'll see we'll see what line he plays on in Dallas, I guess, and who his line mates are. But like, I don't see him repeating that. Like, I don't think that contract's good at all. That's a bad contract.
I don't think the contract's good. I think the player's good.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a good player. I just don't see him being a massive difference maker for Dallas. Like, and I think Nashville got better with Niederreiter and McDonough, and I think they have the best goaltender in the division.
That's the one that worries me. I'm being honest. Like, I think Nashville could be better than I have them, and like, I have them as a playoff team right now. I think they could easily finish the number 2 team in the division with what they have. And Isha is the one that crushes on them.
Saros will win in the division.
Isha, why do you think that the Coyotes are going to be better than the Blackhawks?
That one honestly was just
crazy. I'll be honest. That's nuts.
They literally just signed the worst goalie in the league.
They might be the worst team on the planet.
I think that will be their only win, like their only little win at the end of the season. The organization goes, well, we at least were better than the team that everybody hates. And that's our only little storyline. That's it.
I think the weird thing here is that like the top 3 teams from last year, the Avalanche, the Wild, and the Blues, on paper have gotten worse in the offseason. You look at teams like the Jets, who really haven't changed much, but they've got a new coach, so who knows what happens there. Predators have gotten better. Stars arguably probably got a little worse. Like, this is a weird division this year where any of these teams can kind of funnel anywhere.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, even though I think the Wild can be the top team, they do. I mean, they have a lot of ifs. I mean, I think Z said it. They have maybe the most ifs of some of these teams on this list.
A lot of ifs.
They just have. I think it's a gambling scenario. I think they have the highest upside. So it's just can they hit it? That's going to be the question.
Yeah, and like you said, like they have probably the most ifs that you're banking on, but I feel pretty comfortable betting on a lot of those ifs, but it's still like the only reason I put St. Louis there is I've seen it from them. You know what I'm saying? Like we're hoping and assuming Rossi can do it. I think he can. Yeah. I think the kid's fucking unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I think Addison can do it. And I think
say more nice things about Addison, please.
Yeah, he's a stud. I would like they're all comfortable bets. They're just still ifs, so that's the only reason I put them 3.
My biggest if is like, what do we think Fleury can carry the load?
I think that defense can mitigate a lot of problems still. I still like that defense a lot.
How much do you attribute the struggles last year with picking him up at the end of the year and the team not knowing how to play in front of him?
I mean, I think it's the first time in how long has he been playing? Fucking 15 years. The first time he's ever changed teams mid-season. He went from one of the worst teams on the planet to going to Minnesota. There's a lot of adjustment there, obviously. And I mean, again, that team like fell apart on him on numerous occasions, especially like trying to kill penalties was an absolute problem. And then
because he's
like
just fundamentally different than Talbot, right?
Yeah.
Well, that was the thing. That was the thing. When he like when some of the rebounds would go off, that's his game as well. So like Hoppy said, fundamentally different, and the players did not react well at times. Like they wouldn't even go after some of the pucks, and it was just such a mess at times where the defense broke down.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think he's an adjustment for sure for the team and vice versa. That was not you could see the discord there, like right out the gate. There was some miscommunication for sure.
I have one question, Isha.
Yo.
You said Winnipeg still got it. At what point did they have it? Because they've never had it. They had it in
when they lost to the startup Vegas Golden Knights. That's when they had it.
They've literally been absolutely heinous since then. That team fucking stinks.
I think their top 6 is filthy, and I think they have a top 5-ish goaltender.
I think they're still hard to play against, and yes, okay, maybe you're right. They did lose it. But I think they've still been
had it in 2018.
I feel like they haven't given it all up. Okay, since their defense was shredded and they've been trying to get back to that point, they've still been relatively hard to play against. They still kind of knocked on the door, which a lot of people haven't.
What do you mean though? They're still hard to play against. They lose every fucking game.
relatively hard to play against.
How are
I
you
feel
hard
like
to play
last year
against if
there
you
was a
fucking
lot of
lose all the
upsets.
time?
There's a lot of upset games that we watched too, where we thought that Winnipeg would be absolutely trounced, and they were able to still put up a pretty good fight. They're still, mid pack of this division, and I think they're gonna honestly surprise us a little bit this year with some of the changes, especially the coaching change.
Blake Wheeler would
change?
physically dominate.
They just
Isha.
took the
That's
captaincy away from Blake Wheeler, the one guy that got people that were like, he signed there. He was the only one that did a long-term deal there, and he didn't leave, and that's when people started signing there.
No, dude,
And they
Dubois,
took the
he's gonna
captaincy
stay, right?
away. He wants out. He's already literally said, "I want to leave."
I'm fucking kidding.
Honestly, I'm looking at my picks right now. The only one that I might be really, really wrong on is Nashville. I will say right now, Z, let's revisit this at the end. I think Winnipeg, they finish higher than Nashville. I think, and I've been high on Nashville for a while. I just do not see it. I do not see it. Sure,
The
maybe
one year they
defensively-
get better, you're like, yeah, I'm out.
Yeah, I'm out. And the Stars, I mean, I don't think they're as bad as you're making them out to be either. But yeah, I think Winnipeg surprises both of them in how they finish in the division.
All right,
I
before we
didn't
throw
think
some
so at
comments up here, Travis, do you have any, like, who is the one team that you worry about that could, like, surprise and be, like, the number one team in this division outside of the Avalanche and the Wild for you?
Nashville. I would worry about Nashville. I think they made some good additions, and I think defensively, like, I think that's where like a surprise starts. Is like you got to be tough to play against, tough to score goals against. I think they've made some improvements there. I wouldn't be surprised to see them making some noise.
Z, did you have any last thoughts there?
Yeah, I mean, I think the only surprise could possibly be Nashville. I don't think it happens, but it's possible, I'd say. But other than that, I think it's another division where like that top is pretty set. With Nashville being the only team that could possibly surprise and overtake any of those top three teams. But I still don't see it really happening.
Unlike the Atlantic, where it could just be a crapshoot as far as how the order ends, this one might be a little bit more solidified, especially after we see the start of the season and how it plays out. All right, let's get back to the comments here. As people have been commenting quite a bit since we started this segment, and I absolutely love it.
Hey, Travis, shout out Castle Danger, because I know last time you came on, this is what you were repping. Maple Marzen, they just released in cans, and it's like one of my favorite beers they've done.
I have not seen that one.
Get it. Or if you like that style of beer, obviously.
I do, yeah, we'll get it.
Integrity Farm, he's given us his final prediction as well for the Central Division. Minnesota number 1, Colorado 2.
Oh, fuck. He's with Isha. He's got Arizona over Chicago, which I don't
There
get.
we go. Here's a good question. Do we think that Dallas signs Robertson by opening night?
That's a big caveat for me. If he's not with the team opening night, I'm just catapulting the Stars down to 6.
Yeah, he's an absolute stud. Less again, more Ben. Appreciate it, friendly neighborhood Wild fan. Hey, I asked as we were talking there, I asked the stream if they liked, or I asked the chat rather if they liked these streams, and they said the YouTube baby, keep them coming. So we'll do more of these for you guys as well. Is Addison sticking with 59? Seems like a shitty choice.
You shut your dirty mouth, Sean. It's a great choice. I actually hope he changes his number, because then like the people that rock around with his like number 2 jersey, I'll have the OG jersey, and that's how you can tell who got in early versus who just jumped on as soon as he was good. So I don't mind that, but 59 is such a baller number. I love it. Jake Gensel, shout out.
Rusty as fuck. What's going on, buddy? Doer, baby.
Scored a shorty.
Minnesota ran hot last year and had a surprisingly large percentage of their goals with the goalie pulled. Doesn't seem sustainable, and they lost a 70 to 80 point player. Wild are number 3 in Sean's opinion. Agreeing with Z here. Anyone want to rebuttal?
Again, I think Wild could go as low as 5 or 6, just depending on how things shake out.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that either.
friendly neighborhood wild fan. Again, shout out to you again. We appreciate you joining us throughout this entire stream. What do you guys think Boldy's next contract looks like? Does Guerin extend him mid-season? Does he get a bridge deal? 8x8? Just curious what you guys' thoughts are on this. Because I know he won't get 8, just throwing it out there as an example. Z, what do you think?
I mean, I think they have to do a bridge deal just
Agreed.
because they've also talked about how the salary cap's going to jump like 10 million in the next couple of years. So
Right.
I think you just buy time for the cap to go up, give them that bridge deal 3 by, I don't know, whatever. But I think you just buy time for, first of all, those Suter and Parise cap hits to go away. Because, I mean, they're bad for 3 this year and then 2 more years. And then it's just like $1.5 million or something each, or total for a couple of years. So I think you just bridge until that cap's projected to go up, and then you can kind of give him the bag. Plus, give him another couple of years to prove that he's, a guy that can put up a point per game, which I think he absolutely can because he's unbelievable. But I think it's a bridge deal, and they try to get the AAV as low as possible. But at the same time, you want that kid to get paid because you want him to know that you think he should get paid. So.
Yeah, that they value him.
I'll be curious what the number is, though.
Well, Z, I'm curious too, because you've watched way more of Boldy than any of us, because you watched him with the Iowa Wild, you watched him in college. Like, what do you think the future is for Boldy with this team? Like, is he here to drive a second scoring line, or is he a guy that you eventually see playing with Kaprizov?
He definitely could play with Kaprizov. I think he can also drive play himself too. Everyone, the big knock on him for whatever reason, when people, whether it was his draft year or the year after, was like the skating thing. But he's one of those players that doesn't really need to be the fastest kid on earth to make the plays that he makes. And not only that, he's like excellent defensively. So I think if he hits his ceiling, you're looking at a kid that profiles like peak Mark Stone. So whether that's on your first or second line doesn't really, kind of depends how the rest of the prospects shake out, I think. But, I think if he's your guy on that first line that you're looking at for points, I think he's like that projects as like a point per game type player. So, but again, he's got very high defensive impact as well. I think the kid's fucking unbelievable. Like, he's so fucking good. And he's sturdy, he can play. He gets to those hard areas too. He kind of just gives you a little bit of everything. But I think that's what you're looking at. If he does hit his full potential, you're looking at peak Mark Stone, which is never a bad thing.
Z, does he have to play with somebody who has speed? I agree he doesn't need it personally himself, but was playing with Fiala a huge benefit to him because he could push the pace a little, or do you think that's not relevant necessarily?
I think that benefits any line. I don't think it was necessarily a thing where that's why Matt Boldy did what he did last season. I think again that probably benefits any line whatsoever. But you look at down in the AHL, he was playing with Marco Rossi, who was also not necessarily some burner too, and they literally had the puck the whole time that they were on the ice. And that power play, when it was those two out there, it was a joke. They were fucking unbelievable.
Boldy's puck control is unbelievable.
Yeah. I think it's, again, when he's on the ice, especially with Marco Rossi too, is also an elite defensive forward, at least in the junior ranks. And he was very good in the AHL defensively too. But I think when they're out there, you look at the possession rates, and that team has the puck the entire time that they're on the ice. And really, you're not getting anything through the neutral zone. You're not getting anything defensively, or the other team's not getting anything offensively. You're stopping most of the fucking play in your own defensive zone. Those two are out there. So I think it would benefit because it gives you another element, but it's not necessarily a requirement for him to be an impactful forward, having some guy that can burn. Because again, him and Marco Rossi together, it's so fun to watch, and they just dominate teams.
Who's the ideal line mate for those two?
That's a good question. I think Kaprizov could be so fun.
Okay, in the current environment, though, where the first line's not getting touched, supposedly, who do you think, if they're the third line, quote unquote, who should play with them?
I want to see them give those two and then Tyson Jost. I want to see that line get a shot, dude.
Love it.
That as well.
I think this
So
whole
good.
podcast is for it.
That's three players who not only can give you offensive impact, but they're all three of them can kill penalties. They're very good defensively. And that's so much skill on one line too. Like I think you just get all three zones. You get impacts in all three zones with those three on the ice, and they're just like so fun to watch when they're going.
Addison's putting up 40 points this year. Book it, says Matthew. There you go, Hoppy.
At least. Travis, curious, because I don't know if, like, again, baby, we're giving you the benefit of the doubt. Don't know if you heard, but they are planning, at least as of now, to put Spurgeon and Brodeen together on the first pairing and then move Middleton with Dumba on the second pairing. Fan or not a fan?
Middleton and Dumba on the second pair, so you're splitting up Dumba and Brodeen. I don't know. I got to be honest. I mean, I'm not the biggest Dumba fan in the world. I think that Brodeen has made Dumba look a lot better than he is, personally, defensively. Let's say at least at that. I think Brodeen's skating ability and his defense-first mentality covers up a lot of Dumba's bad decision making, and I just think that hasn't been seen yet. Now, whether Middleton or who is it? Is it Middleton who's playing with Dumba right now?
Yeah, Middleton with Dumba and Spurgeon and Brodeen are going to be playing together.
Yeah, I don't love that. Honestly, I don't love that.
Isha, Z, any thoughts?
I mean, I'm fine with it. Like, I think Middleton and Spurgeon, after a few games, they were really good together, but I'm intrigued by Brodeen playing with Spurgeon. I think that kind of frees him up a little bit too, but I love Matt Dumba. I know a lot of people don't for some reason, but I don't know. I don't know if it'll work as well as the other pairings that they had, but I really want to see just something different. Like, I don't think you can continue to do the same thing year after year and expect it just to magically change and get better. So I'm intrigued to see what it at least looks like. And I think Dumba and Middleton could just fucking hammer guys too. And again, like, free up Brodeen from so much of the defensive responsibility that he has had. Even though I do think Dumba's a better defensive player than he gets credit for. I think he just is super, like, with the shit that he does, it either looks unbelievable, or if he makes a mistake, it looks really bad. So, like, it feels like it happens more often than it really does. But at the same time, like, I think he's more than fine defensively. I think it's just, again, when you play the way that he plays, when you make a mistake, it probably going to end up in the back of the net, or at least result in a very dangerous chance against. But I'm intrigued by it just to see what it looks like. Because, again, I just want to see something different. If they really want to get better and actually make it past the first round, they can't just keep doing the same thing over and over and over and over again.
What's the thought there? Do we think that they think Spurgeon has, like, this lot higher offensive ceiling or something, or what is it just to change things up, or what's the thought with that?
I think it frees both Spurgeon and Brodeen up from a lot of defensive stuff, and then, like, I think it just kind of gives that second pair of Middleton and Dumba a more of a role against, like, top lines or just lines that you need to grind down, and then Spurgeon and Brodeen aren't taking on as many of those hard minutes and can kind of play a freer game and maybe, like, open up a little bit on that side where they're not going against every single top line for every shift, every game. And I mean, Spurgeon does have a ton of offense in there. I mean, he's been a consistent 40, 50 point guy, like, his whole career. So, I mean, again, I'm just intrigued by it to see what it looks like. Because as you can see, Jonas Brodeen is my favorite player in the NHL. So it'll be interesting.
I love it. And, like, Z, what's your opinion? Like, who's the odd man out for this team right now? Because there's several forwards vying for the bottom six. Who doesn't make the roster, in your opinion, at least for opening night?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know, because it all depends on, like, the health and stuff. Like,
all right. I mean, health aside, then let's just go off of, like, player ability. We know Greenway will not play. Someone's gonna have to slot in there. Aside from that, how do you see things rolling out?
Well, I don't know. I mean, like, again, the top line feels like it's pretty set. And then Greenway is out. So it kind of depends on who you feel can, like, fill in that spot on that line and with, like, a similar type of identity. Like, I don't think it really worked
Goudreau?
necessarily when they tried Jost. It could work with Goudreau.
I think
Right.
Goudreau would be perfect for that.
Yeah, and then that opens up the possibility for Jost, Boldy, Rossi. And again, as mad as people seem to start getting at Brandon Duhaime, I think the fourth line with the identity that Everson wants him to have, I think that he's probably on there with a guy like Connor Dewar. So the odd man out, I don't really know. Like, I really don't know. But
Sounds like you're saying Steele's the odd man out.
but I like Sam Steele too. I think he's been really. I also like Sam Steele because people decided to shit on him before the season even fucking started.
Because people are stupid.
People are stupid assholes. And I can guarantee you, anyone that was carving Sam Steele never watched a fucking Ducks game in their fucking life, or never watched Sam Steele in junior when he was lighting it up with Regina.
Oh, but Yurov is garbage because he had no KHL points.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. We can all read a hockey DB page, right? Like, fucking unbelievable. There's so many morons out there that I don't even know why I consider reading half of their fucking tweets, but
but you do.
Yeah, no, I am somehow still reading them. Fuck. I don't really know. Honestly, like trying to figure out who the odd man out is so difficult with this lineup right now, specifically because of those injuries, and then just wondering who fits on that line with Rossi and Boldy. Because I could see it being Jost, I could see it being Steele, but who knows? Maybe Sam Steele is the
besides those two
playing there. I could see that. I mean, like, we know how Everson feels about Gaudreau. So Gaudreau could definitely be there. And, like, again, people are shitting on Gaudreau. Gaudreau had a fucking good year.
I'm not shitting on him. So like my stance, at least, I want to hear what you guys think. There's a lot of regression candidates on this team. I'm actually on the train of thinking that Hartman is not going to regress. I think that he is a player that's been held back by situation, and now that he's playing with good players, I think he can thrive. I think Gaudreau had the best year that he's ever going to have. That doesn't mean that he's going to regress like to a large degree, but I don't think he's ever going to reach or exceed what he did last year playing with Fiala and Boldy. I think he is an incredible bottom six defensive two-way type forward that can play really well on that Jeek line in, Greenway's place for the time being, and eventually end up being an incredible fourth line center between the Dewey brothers. But I don't think that he is what we've seen. I think he is going to regress.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. Like, he benefited greatly from the guys he was playing with, for sure. So, but again, he also never really had a full-time look in the NHL before last season too. So who knows? But
I mean, he was playing regular minutes with Pittsburgh and with Nashville for.
Yeah, but he's never played a full season though. I think he had less than 100 games. Maybe he had 100 games before last year in the NHL.
I loved him in Pittsburgh, by the way. I was so pissed when they didn't re-sign him and he came to Minnesota.
When he did play, yeah.
Yeah, no, I really liked him in Pittsburgh's bottom six. So, like, I'm not shitting on the guy. I like him as a player. I just don't think he's what we saw last year. That's all.
I think you're right. He's definitely a regression candidate just because he's not going to be playing. Well, he's definitely not playing with Fiala, obviously. But, like, if he's not playing with Boldy and Rossi, he's definitely, like he's not going to put up those offensive numbers playing with Eriksson, and Foligno if that's where he starts the season while Greenway's out. And he's probably not going to stay there once Greenway's back. So definitely a regression candidate for sure.
Yep. And I think we're winding down on the comments here a little bit.
We do have some questions though. We do have a few questions though. One of them's directed right at Hoppy. So I want to sneak this in here before we hang up the skates. Who scores more points this season, Addison or Phil Kessel?
You're a fucking asshole. Yes, the answer is yes.
Sean,
I think they both dominate.
Sean asks us, what do the Wild do summer of 2025 when their effective cap goes from 70 million to 94 million? Make a run at Draisaitl, Marner, perhaps?
That's interesting.
I don't think there's any way of trying to figure that out. Like, I think so much is going to change before then. Like, half this team will be gone by then too. I mean, we'll see what at that point what contracts with like Rossi and Boldy and Addison, what those look like too. Because if they step in and light it up right away, you're gonna have to pay them before 2025.
Yeah,
So
for sure. And this I think was going back to the Boldy conversation. Friendly neighborhood Wild fan, and again, shout out to you. You've been here since the start. We really appreciate the support. I think Garen should get in front of this before he has a full 82 game season. You guys don't feel the urgency in that regard? I don't know. I just think he's going to light it up this year and get the bag. So
is that
concerned about the
Boldy?
contract. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but if he gets the bag, that's still a good thing. Like if
It's a good problem to
Boldy
have.
lights it up, then I want to pay the kid. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. It's
but
more.
again, I
Can
think
we
you
find a way to pay the
you just
kid,
can't.
or do we
You
have to
literally-
bridge him?
You can't give him 8 years right now. Like you
Yeah.
can't. There's no way of paying him what he's gonna demand. Like I get the urgency thing, but like there is no possible way unless you're definitely jettisoning half the fucking roster.
Right.
And one more question here. When are they going to sign Nate Prosser again?
Let's not rule it out ever. You know, it's always a possibility.
Chuck
Every
Fletcher's not
season.
here, so that makes it tougher.
True.
All right, that's it for the questions. And I mean, Friendly Neighborhood Wild fans been commenting on all our conversation throughout this entire last segment here, as well as
Thank you, friend.
Jeremy, Matt. Who else do we have here? Integrity Farms. I mean, we
Plenty.
had some Rusty as fuck joining us again. I know Rusty was on some of our Team USA live
Yo.
streams during the World Juniors. Look at
Travis, optimistic or pessimistic? Like, what's your last thought you want to get in on the Wild that we have not addressed thus far?
I don't know if it's something that we haven't addressed. I mean, I'm optimistic. I'm very optimistic on the Wild. I do have question marks on Rossi because I haven't seen enough of his game yet. Like for me, I've seen him play like the couple stints he had in the NHL last year and a couple highlights in the A, some preseason stuff. I hear all the things. It's a bit, second line center. He's got to produce and be defensive shutdown. It's a big role. I mean, that's a big role for an NHL forward. So for me, he's the swing guy. I think he's the swing guy for this team is how he comes out and plays.
Fair enough.
Looks like the chat wants to do more streams like this, guys. And we're not going to do divisional breakdowns all season, obviously, but maybe we'll do some more live events. We'll do some watch-alongs. We'll do more of these for you guys on the YouTube channel. I know our YouTube channel right now, we have some beer content and we have some clips from all the podcasts, but it looks like, some of the regulars, they're really digging this right now. So I appreciate all the comments. We did have a poll question that went on during the stream here in the YouTube live chat. Last thing I'll ask you folks in the live chat here is let us know who you voted for in the poll question. We were asking all of you, what is the deepest and best NHL division going into the 2022-2023 season? So those listening back to this on the podcast, let us know on social media at the Sota Pod. Get in touch with us. Let us know what you think the best division is, and let us know what you thought of our picks. Look at that. Integrity Farm saying Metro Division. More streams. Rusty Nails was saying the stream was nails tonight. Look at that. Look at that.
Boom. Travis, anything coming up for Waggle Golf? And everyone, get your waggleon.com. Check it out, whether you want the Topo Loon hoodie that he's repping, the Loon hat, the, of course, Bird Dog hat. We got the trees. I don't even remember what it's called. Travis obviously knows what it's called. Isha's got the palm tree. Z got robbed. Anything you want, get your waggleon.com immediately before it all sells out.
Yeah, no, thanks for that. The only thing I would plug is we have this interesting event going on, not this coming Thursday, but next Thursday at Loggers Trail golf course in Stillwater, Minnesota. So we're doing a 24-hour hole-in-one challenge, and for every ball we hit during the 24 hours, we're going to donate $1 to Special Olympics Minnesota. It's like open to the public. We're hoping to have some sponsors there and kind of make it fun, but you can come pay $50 to hit balls for an hour at the hole. If you hit one, you get $500 in unlimited Waggle apparel. If you don't, then it's just a donation to Special Olympics. So kind of a fun thing based on a tweet that was, if you had 24 hours, if you had 24 hours to hit unlimited balls at any hole, at any par 3 of your choice.
That's not what it said originally, Travis. It just
What
said
was
any
it?
course. It said any course, and I'm going to Can Wonderland.
Any course. Okay, all right. Sorry. Mini golf, I guess, was not
Because I've had like
appropriately-
3 hole-in-ones at Can Wonderland. So
Yeah. So anyways, that tweet kind of went off, and we decided let's see if we can actually hit one in kind of like this abbreviated version of that tweet. So it'll be fun. I'll be awake for a long time and probably cold, but it'll be fun. So if you guys have a chance to get out and it's a Loggers Trail, it'd be great.
Look at that. Better late than never. Derek jumps in the live stream here saying, I too voted for the Atlantic. Metro will still be tough. Overall, all East seems to add talent while most Western Conferences teams seem to stay the same or let talent go. Shout out to you, Derek, for joining. Thanks for liking the video and jumping in the live chat. And again, Travis, that sounds amazing. And you know how big of a fan I am of your guys' products. Even before you jumped on as a partner on the Sota Pod, even before we had some beers together and hung out in Minnesota. I mean, I think it's just unbelievable what you guys have built there during such a crazy time that was, the pandemic the last 2-3 years as well. And to see that you guys are just growing at the rate that you are, seeing how busy you are, family stuff aside, just with work. I mean, I kind of want to feel bad for you at times, but then I'm just like, no, it just means the company's growing. And so I have to feel, happy for you guys there. Well, moved into the new office. I know that was such a necessity, something you guys needed to do the last time we connected. So happy to see that everything's just humming, man. And anything that we can do to continue to support Waggle Golf, absolutely, we will do that. I mean, I've been even, like I said, making some sales for you guys via my personal channel on YouTube as well. I got your logo. I got your logo. No, I got Waggle's logo. I even have to check mark on YouTube that I'm promoting a brand, or else they don't even want to push the content. So, just wanted, I cannot thank you enough for jumping on as a partner with us, joining us on this live stream, joining us on the podcast, lost episodes and ones that were published, and for, and hooking us up with all this great apparel.
Hashtag Waggle in the Wild, right?
Yeah.
My God. That's amazing.
I appreciate you guys for sure.
All right. Last couple comments here. I live in the black hole. That is Iowa, so I fortunately cannot make it. But you probably can still support Waggle Golf, my friend. Jeremy is out. Later, guys.
Skyuma.
I'm simply glad you turn topography into a style. You earned some geography cred from this. From a high school geography teacher.
Perfect.
Thank you very much, Derek. Z churning out highlight clips on Twitter while on live stream. What an absolute stuff. Look at the guy, never takes a night off. I absolutely love it. Yes, the Wild are playing right now, and I see that the chat was lighting up. Holy fuck, Faber's having a night. So I think we'll leave the Wild crowd to continue to watch the game here on the live stream. Hit us up wherever you get your podcasts from, folks. We will post this in probably multiple episodes, 1, 2, hell, maybe even 4 episodes. We're still figuring that out, but you'll be able to rewatch any of this full stream on YouTube. We'll split it up also on YouTube. Like, subscribe. We really appreciate it. We'll do more of these streams, these type of streams, maybe even just Q&As and just, community member streams where we just, throughout watch-alongs during Wild games or not, just hop on and hang out with everyone who supports our podcast. Again, iTunes and Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, Stitcher, wherever you get your podcasts, you can find it. And we really appreciate everyone who's been on this live stream the whole night, and that's included, Z, Travis, and Hoppy, and the support we've had this summer going into the season has been amazing. So I really appreciate it. Hoppy, am I missing anything? Here?
I think we're good, man.
Shout out 7th Avenue Pizza, Waggle Golf, of course, Back Channel Brewing, and Better Edge.
And Northland Vodka. Mark Parrish sends his regrets that he couldn't join.
We'll bring him back on the podcast very soon, and we had a great interview with Mark. It's one of those evergreen interviews. It was a pleasure for me and Hoppy really to just have a candid conversation with Mark. It is on our YouTube channel, so that is more incentive to like and subscribe. With that, signing off, I'm Isha Dromi alongside State of Hoppy, Spoke Z, Travis Baker, Not Barker, folks. I know. We didn't get the Blink 182 drummer on, but we had the next best thing. We good, boys?
We good?
Don't fear. Just drink some beer and stay wild.